Welcome, everybody. This is Blathering Backstage. I am producer Steve. Thank you for joining us on a special little draft night occasion here on a Wednesday. I am assuming everyone here can hear me and see things. We're talking about the weather in the chat. It is way too fucking hot. So I haven't gotten any thumbs up or down from anyone yet, so I'm assuming that means everyone can hear me and we're all good there. So that's a good start. So we're going to have some fun tonight. We've got StreamYard isn't playing the music on YouTube. Oh yeah, that's okay. It's all good. We're here now. The music might have just been from the what you guys see on StreamYard isn't the same thing that's on YouTube, so that's all good. Anyway, I'm going to just finish a few things we've got set up here and tell you guys what we're going through for this evening. So like I said, NBA draft is tonight. The first few picks are already in. The fourth pick just was selected by the Charlotte Hornets. And so we'll talk about some of that. We're not really caring about so much about the basketball and the picks and stuff. I want to talk about draft fashion. That's one of my favorite things about the NBA draft is the funny suits. So we've got a fun little presentation for that we will talk about there. And then we are also going to bring some few calls on. So Brady's going to come in at some point to talk basketball with us if he's available. We've already got some other calls lined up with Addy, with Jared. So we'll have the round table come on in. If you would like to join us, I can put the link to the chat here in just a moment, or link to the stream here. Here we go. For everyone who wants to call in. So yeah, and we'll do the wheel at the end for the folks who hang out and chill. So, but we're gonna go through some news first. We have some good news to report for once. So I feel like news does not get the good news is underreported. So we're gonna give that a little attention today. Sorry, I'm gonna look like this a lot over today because my monitor with the basketball is over there. So we're talking news. We're gonna talk fun stuff with the draft. If Addie sticks around, we have a really cool conversation with Addie that I want to hear from her about. This is expanding on something that she put out on social, talking about Rey and representation for girls in Star Wars, especially as Jedi. I thought that was really cool, and I would love to hear more about that whole idea from someone who lived it, growing up as a prequel kid, and then seeing in the sequels someone like Rey emerge. So the whole thing we can get into there, and then yeah, we'll take whatever calls come in and we'll spin the wheel and we're gonna hang out. So news, draft fashion, a little bit of Star Wars sprinkled in, and your calls. So, and we will have the wheel as well. So looking forward to that. So thanks for everyone who is hanging out with us on a Wednesday. Just as a little bit of housekeeping, no show from Ken tomorrow on the Blathering on the main channel. No show tomorrow. Ken is going to see Superman. But big show Saturday is the plan. So looking forward to that. See what Ken has cooked up for that. And then I got some fun ideas coming up here as well. I have a new Fuck That Guy segment almost ready to go. And some familiar faces there, especially from the news recently. So what we're going to do is I've got a couple of things pulled up here that I want to talk about as far as the good news goes. And we will, again, this is, is it political? Yes, but it's more about hope. And I think if you've been watching the show, you certainly know where producer Steve lies on a lot of these issues and stuff. But we're going to talk about the primary in New York last night, just briefly. I just kind of want to put out some thoughts on there and get the just kind of like put out my 2 cents on why I think that's important, what happened, really just because it's New York, and I really tend to not like New York because for all my sports alliances. So I'm proud of New York, which is a rare thing for me. And then public land had a huge win this week. I know this sounds boring, but it's a really big deal that we're not going to sell off a bunch of public land out west because a bunch of governors stood up for the constituents and got pissed off because at the end of the day it would hurt a lot of business dollars. But this was a huge win for conservationists, for people who are in the recreation industry, especially out where some of these things were affected. So I want to talk about that just a little bit, just to put out good news for once. The world has been so shitty lately. We apparently averted war. We'll see how long that lasts. So I want to just, live with some good vibes for just a little bit. So I'm glad your blue orbs are pulsating this time. Oh, thank you. Well, they change in colors. So the orbs behind me, the resolution's not great. The orbs behind me are these two little LED desk lights I've got. One is BB-8, the one on the right, or I guess closer to us. But yeah, the right. And then the one on the left is the Millennium Falcon. And so it's like a camera shutter rate thing or frame rate thing as to why they look like they're like, dude, but in real life it's a very nice smooth colorful transition. So anyway, so thanks everyone for hanging out. Thanks everyone for checking in. We've got a lot of good folks here already. The detective is here, Laserbolt. Like I said, we've got Jared and Addie here in the call ready to go. Crafted Jedi is here. Kingsport Cal is here, so we know we're going to have a good time. So JMB, Totally Quinn, all good to see everyone here. So let's get into the news just a little bit here. Before we get to the fun, I want to get over the hump of the other thing that I'm like trying here is all my new little things. So this is it. Zoran Mamdani on the verge of winning New York City's Democratic mayoral contest after Cuomo concedes. So this all happened yesterday. We saw that Cuomo called this morning to concede, so we know that he's going to be the Democratic. Mamdani is going to be the Democratic candidate for mayor in New York City, which is just a huge win for progressives from a, not want to say populist standpoint, but from a mainstream visual of this is the kind of candidate, young leadership that Democrats, specifically progressives, have been screaming for, from someone who can talk to the people, someone who's not a geriatric, has progressive views from a business sense, from affordability for housing in New York City, which is probably one of the least affordable places to live in the world when you think about how many people live there. It's such a huge shift from what we've seen from New York in the last few years, from Adams, de Blasio, all these dudes, Bloomberg, like anyone you could think of when you think of New York politics. It's been, with AOC, we've seen this kind of shift towards these younger progressive voices kind of breaking out, and this is really exciting. I think this is really exciting. So wanted to just point this out a little bit. I had a few notes on this to just really, this is the kind of stuff that is crazy about, like, why I don't want everyone to doom and gloom too much, even though as bad as everything is, and the next big elections are really far away, whether it's the midterms or the presidential race. But like, this guy went from polling at 1% in February of this year to being the Democratic candidate. Like, that's insane. He raised about $8 million, 75% of which was from like grassroots contributors. Former Governor Cuomo raised over $27 million, I want to say, from super PAC money. He took a lot more corporate interest money. This was a huge just win in the idea of, can those kinds of candidates get popular in a post-2024 Trump election win world? How much of the messaging can continue on from the progressive part of the party that felt really let down from the election, and rightfully so, from how things shook out and how the messaging went across for the candidacy and for Harris's campaign. So I thought this was really important to just kind of show and talk about. I know everyone's kind of seen it, but the thing I really wanted to highlight was the funding difference, and the fact that the dude went from polling 1%. He was polling 1%. It's ranked choice, so there are other people, but he went from polling 1% to getting 43% of first choice ballot votes in the race, in the primary yesterday. So the fact that the messaging that he was able to put together in such a short amount of time, he was in the headlines months ago, showing up at protests and showing up, when these all sorts of different ICE activities were happening. He was there for his neighborhoods, and so that was just a hopeful thing to see from a political standpoint. It's good to share a little good in the world. So I've been screaming talking at the camera for 10 minutes and haven't seen any of the comments here, but yeah. Glad to see everyone is still hanging out here with us. LQ says, he wasn't my first choice, and his ideas are quite extreme for New York City, but I understand where young voters are coming from. That is like exactly, that's exactly where I'm coming from a, how I feel about this. I'm setting my thing up here so I can actually show your chat on screen to people other than those that are in the StreamYard already. Totally agree. I totally see where you're coming from. As someone who, I think the idea here is it's proof that what some people think are extreme. I totally understand where you're coming from there. But it's just the idea that those more progressive ideas can break through on a level like the mayor of New York City. Like a candidate like this being able to beat a candidate like such a political kind of just made in a cardboard box type like Cuomo was. So that's kind of the biggest thing for me is the breath of fresh air there. So I totally understand where a lot of his ideas that he has. Wow, I admire his ambition for them. How much that stuff is all actually going to be able to be rolled out in New York City, in anytime soon is a whole nother matter. But the idea that he's fighting for those things means that more people will be vocal about it. Oh my God, Infinite Steve, what happened? What did I do? Oh no. Oh, that's why. Yeah, there we go. Boom. I put the thing away. I put the comment away. Anyway, yeah, that killed the thought. But hope. That is the idea. It's hope, man. This wasn't looking like this a few months ago. Like New York was not. And this is the first sign, I think, post the 2024 election, where we're seeing like what kind of pushback the left is going to have. I think Virginia's governor race later this year will also be another indicator of that. So we'd like to see that. But moving away from the super political stuff, let's go to the slightly less political stuff. This is good in my opinion. The U.S. Senate has said these oil and gas projects can't skirt environmental review, which basically means the provisions affecting environmental reviews in public land. The bill that's going through, the big beautiful bill, the reconciliation bill that's being looked at. One of the things they tried to sneak in there, Senator Mike Lee from Utah, which is, again, he's going to be one of our dudes who's going to be a candidate for fuck that guy on that one of those segments eventually. He was trying to put through this provision, which essentially would have put up something like 30. I have the number here. Let me look at my numbers here. Over 3 million acres of public land would have gone up potentially for sale. And this would have been land targeting the Bureau of Land Management and Forest Service holdings in 11 Western states. So we're talking about land that has been and is being used for parks and conservation uses and things like that. And so this was a huge, like they try to pay it off as like, oh no, this is just like a little bit of land, a couple different, by spreading it out over 11 states. But we were talking about 3 million acres across the 11 states. Of these 6 of the western states, all these governors got really, really pissed off and basically, barked up the tree about we can't have, these are public lands. And the Senate kind of listened to that from the idea of if we're going to get heat from the governors, that's also going to put heat on the Senate. But this was $1.2 trillion in outdoor recreation value from the stuff that I'm looking at from the reporting that says there was, if you let this land sold away, now it's going into private hands, it's not being used for public use, you're giving away essentially $1.2 trillion worth of public land value that could be used for recreation, for parks, for things that can generate revenue from either a tax or public use service. So this is a good thing, right? This is a little bit of a sliver of being able to save the somewhat of the environment where we live and in 2025, which in this administration, again, wouldn't exactly have predicted. So anyway, just looking through some comments here. Detective Carlso says, I'm all for giving politicians some slack for not accomplishing what they wanted. It happens. They encounter issues. Just wanted to stand by what they said during the campaign. Couldn't agree more. It's hard to often do everything you say you're going to do. I think what people want to see is you fighting for those things and advocating for those things as much as you can, making the change that you know you can make, whether that's executive orders or things that you have supported through Congress if you're the president, for example. But beating the drum is I think the most important thing, other than actual legislation, obviously, right? So this actually brings me just quickly into another little segue that actually participated in a little bit of my civic duty today, not to toot my own horn, but I listened into a congressional town hall that was like a call-in, and I wanted to ask my congressman why he was one of the what it was, like 79, I think it was. So it was 79 or 97. I forgot what the number was backwards, but there was a certain number of, I didn't do very good reporting today. There was a certain number of Democratic senators who voted to table the impeachment vote for the articles of impeachment that were introduced by Al Green earlier this week. And so a lot of people, especially on the far left, not far left, but people on the left got very upset that they tabled these votes, that they essentially voted no to move forward with impeachment. We heard people again, Al Green put out the articles of impeachment. AOC was talking about how the attacks in Iran were an impeachable offense, and so it was I saw a lot of reaction online about people talking about how spineless these people were and yada yada yada, and I totally get where that anger comes from. And that's why I called into my town hall to ask specifically, hey, why did you vote no? I just wanted to ask, why did you vote no to table the resolution to move forward on articles of impeachment? Luckily, before I was called upon, someone asked that exact same question, and so that was convenient. But anyway, they said basically, and this is just original stuff. Like they said, look, we're trying to win. He essentially said we're trying to win winning battles. We're trying to fight winning battles, and by going forward with impeachment on just the Iran attack right now, with the specific articles that were put forth by Al Green, the argument is this isn't a winning case as it is presented in this document. So voting this forward, while it sends a message, it's not going to. We're fighting uphill. He also said the Republicans were basically like letting that get voted on first because they were waiting for it. It was like they essentially don't want to walk into a trap of going down a road of impeachment that they know is going to fail from the start. That sounds pessimistic to me. Even I would have liked to have still seen the support for it from a principled standpoint. That the president is doing something illegal, so we should do the things that we know are in place to fix that or to address that. But I thought at least he made some good points just from look, we want to get there too, but if we're going to do it, we have to do it with a winning case, with a winning fight. And while we know that what happened isn't okay, we don't live in an environment where if we put this forward, it's going to have legs. So to me, it sounds like a little bit of a cop-out. I still, again, would like to see the action that in any way we can, at least to have on the record of, again, these are congressmen saying we would move forward with impeachment because this person has done impeachable things. And so getting stuck on the whether or not they would actually work or not is, I think, kind of a second argument. And I don't know, my principled stance is just if the person's doing something wrong and you have the evidence to show that, you should move forward. The problem is we have such a system where we have a lot of politicians who would not vote to convict in a Senate regardless of the facts or the evidence. And so we saw that happen the first go around, twice actually. So that's how that cookie crumbles. But so yeah, that was a little bit of me practicing my civic duty today. So I encourage everyone to do the same. It was super easy. They actually called me. I got a call. I actually picked up a call from a random number because for a lot of reasons today, but and it just turned out to be like a robocall saying, "Hey, we're starting a virtual town hall right now. All you have to do is just stay on the line." And I was like, "Okay, cool. I'm winding down from work anyway. Let's just listen to this for 10 minutes." And it was worth my time. It was a whole 10-15 minute experience, and they made it super easy. So that's how government should be, in my opinion. Let's make it easier for people to get involved. So. Anyway, yeah, and I know there's going to be some split stuff here in the comments, and I totally agree with saying it's a complete cop out. I hear you, Jared. You're not wrong, but there's the difference between fighting and fighting a battle you can win, and I think there is also an element of fatigue in the news cycle, which I think is an unfortunate reality, but an unfortunate place we live at with the news cycle and how these things are. Trying to impeach him every other week is going to dilute the message, as bad as that sounds, even though he still deserves to be impeached every 4 seconds for all the million things he's done wrong. The attention span of our populace is shorter than it should be, and a lot of people support what this administration does, unfortunately. And so it's not about going 12 rounds like Rocky. You know what I mean? It's got to be like Rocky 2. You got to win. Like we have to, at this point, we have to find a way to, whether it's, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. If I did, I would have a hell of a lot more money than I do now because someone would have paid me for consulting, or I would have wrote a book or written a report or actually been a journalist. But I don't have the answers, or I would have been a lawyer. But I think it's important to call, like the detective says in chat, it's important to call bullshit out where bullshit exists, and that's, again, we have to start somewhere. So let's start there. So I thought it was an interesting conversation. I support my congressman still. He's fighting for a lot of the people in our area who are especially federal workers who don't have jobs anymore, and he's trying to do a lot to uncover a lot of the bullshit that's happening there. He talked a lot about interviews with former Doge employees who have basically come out and said this shit runs a lot more efficiently than we expected it to, and how much of a fiasco that has all been. They've done a pretty good job of tying up a lot of that in the courts so that it hasn't been a complete and total free fall. But there are a lot of people around where I live that are affected by this and don't have a job anymore, or not going to have a job soon because of all this bullshit. So there is more than one fight going on. So it's important that we can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. But it isn't an excuse to be complicit. It's the red lines have been crossed, panic buttons need to be hit. It's kind of pull out all the stops kind of a thing. But the way it works is we need elections to do things, and we need elections to work. And so the like I talked about with the New York City race, with the Virginia governor race later this year, we have to take every step as it comes across until it's the midterms, until it's the big one, assuming we actually get to have another one. So anyway, I just talked for like 24 minutes, just bloviating like a total bleeding heart lib that I am. So I appreciate anyone who's actually still here hanging out with us. We're going to have some fun tonight now, because it is time to talk a little bit of NBA draft. As far as NBA draft fashion goes, we're gonna wait till we have Brady come in here to talk NBA fashion, and we're going to talk a little bit about some famous. Baggy is back, so I kind of want to know if any of these basketball looks are somehow more acceptable now than maybe they would have been like a year or two ago. I am going to pin the invite link in the chat really quick so that because I put it in there, but I didn't pin it. So we're going to make it easy for folks that are watching to see it. Do I have picks, Steve? I do. I have a whole presentation. Jared. We have a presentation for draft fashion tonight. It's a short one. Don't worry. I'm not going to bore you guys. So we're going to get to that soon. But here's the thing. We're going to do a little community vote here. And we're going to see, do we want, we have Dr. Addy here to go totally down another lane on talking a little bit of Star Wars, which I teased at the top of the show, which is totally fine. Baggy has been back for a bit, and I just can't get behind it. McCarcel, I totally freaking agree with you. I totally agree with you. Tully Quinn puts in the chat, Steve, tell me about Asuka. I know you guys can't see it on the screen except in the little corner up at the top, but tell me about Asuka. I saw her in WWE and maybe in Love. I have no idea what you're talking about, Tully. I'm sorry. I am the last person that you need to ask questions for wrestling. I stopped watching wrestling, I think, in 1999 or 2000. I think that was it. Yeah. So I'm sorry. I can't help you there. Ken or Alden will definitely be able to do better for you. Oh, that dude has some nice chains. Holy hell. Man, NBA draft fashion's great. I can't show it to you live because we'd get sued, but I'm going to show you guys some great stuff here soon. And I think Blue Sky I'm following like a Blue Sky account that's having like pictures of people like at the draft. So we might be able to pull up some pictures if there's some really good ones tonight. And Brady even told me earlier that someone dressed in like a Fortnite suit or some kind or something like that related to that in the NBA draft recently. So I hope you may be able to point me in the direction of that, or at least help me to Google that. But anyway, here's what I want to do. I want to do a quick poll that's not actually going to be a poll. We're just going to use comments. Do we want to go with, you know what? No, I changed my mind. Even though this is a democracy, we're just going to do it anyway. Addy, we're going to talk Star Wars because you're here, and I'm not going to make you sit around and wait and then have to come back on another show because I want to do a show tomorrow, but I'm not positive I'm going to have a show tomorrow. So we're going to do this. We're going to do this anyway. Addy, I'm going to bring you on. You're going to show up on StreamYard, but don't worry, you're not on Stream. It's just Jared that can see you, so it's okay. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm going to go ahead and shut up and let you talk for a moment to make sure everyone else can hear you.
Hello. Good evening.
You sound fantastic to me, and if no one else in the chat can hear you, then they'll let us know. They say Addy, so that usually means they can hear you. Perfect. Addy, you Made a very interesting post on Blue Sky today that I admired as a hashtag girl dad, and I wanted to talk to you about it.
Of
And this
course.
was this was a little bit related to a recent Force Center episode. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I
Go
had
ahead.
listened to the news episode of Force Center this week is talking about the potential delay, I guess not potential delay, the news of the delay of the Rey movie. And I listened to it on my way to work this morning, and that is what inspired the post in question.
Okay. Right. Thank you. And you were a prequel kid growing up, right? And so you were a big Padme Leia fan as a child.
Yes. So yeah, so I was probably, I would say, maybe between like special editions and prequel kid. Like I saw the special editions before I saw the prequels
Yeah.
because we bought
Yep.
the
Yep. Yep.
VHS box set in
Oh yeah.
1997.
Oh yeah.
Um my
Wore those
father
things
is a
out.
huge same. My father's a huge sci-fi person. He's a huge like space person, like space epic person, but he saw Star Wars when he graduated from high school in 1977.
Yep.
He owned the original soundtrack on vinyl, which I now have. Like, so big Star Wars fan. He bought these VHS tapes, sat down, absolutely fell in love with them. Then the prequels came, absolutely fell in love with them. So yes, I am like, I would say I'm like right in the sweet spot of like special edition prequel kid love.
The first movie I saw in a movie theater was the special edition version of A New Hope. That was the first movie that I remember seeing in a movie theater. Like I have a memory of seeing, and I've told the story before how I almost shit my pants when the Falcon jumped to hyperspace for the first time because I was absolutely terrified and holding onto my dad's shoulder. So totally with you on that. Loved the movies as a kid, going even into the prequels when they came out, having watched the original trilogy already and all that jazz. But as a young boy growing up, I've always talked about how much I admire Luke Skywalker and love the story and everything. And I've always, who didn't want to be a Jedi as a little kid. But you made the great point that as a young girl growing up, you didn't necessarily have that kind of representation in any of those kind of six movies from a main character. A little bit more in the prequel era, but not in the way that you get like a main protagonist in a Luke in what we see in the sequel trilogy.
Correct. So yeah, so like I always go to the story growing up, like being a Lord of the Rings fan when those films came out in around the same time. I always joke that like my favorite character was Arwen because that was who I could see myself in.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that like you don't, like, I didn't have to only see myself in girl characters. Caveat, 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 caveat. But like I always identified with the female characters. So my first memory of a movie in a movie theater is the animated Beauty and the Beast,
Nice.
and
Okay.
I saw myself a lot in Belle. And growing up, a lot of my quote unquote role models were Disney princesses because those were movies for girls.
Right.
Um, I think I've talked about before, as controversial as it has become, I still really like the Harry Potter world because Hermione Granger was a very important person to me as a child because she was also a silly little girl with her hand always in the air who read a lot of books.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so going to Star Wars, which I would argue that Star Wars is probably my first fandom. Like, I can remember being in third grade turning in short stories for English class that were fan fiction before I knew what fan fiction was. Like, I was writing short stories where Han and Leia were the main characters and like living domestic life after the original trilogy. Um, and so like I just Star Wars being that for me, I absolutely loved it. I loved Leia. As Force Center listeners are well aware, I have a deep, abiding love that I cannot explain for Padme. She was and is just an amazing role model. But to the point that I was making on Blue Sky today after listening to the episode, because they were talking in the news episode. For those of you who haven't listened to the Force Center news episode yet, one of the things that they were talking about was the importance of Rey as a character to the sequel generation, but also just to people in general. Not even they talked about a little bit, like you didn't necessarily have to be a kid for Rey to have been important. But they didn't go into detail, and that was what sort of in of what they meant by that, and that's what inspired my post on Blue Sky, which was essentially that like I will die on a hill for Leia and Padme gladly. But I was in my late 20s when the sequel trilogy became a thing, and that was the first time I got to be a Jedi. And I will never forget that feeling, and I will never like Rey will always be incredibly important to me and my favorite Jedi because I like, yeah, okay, Leia trained, we find that out, whatever. Like, Rey was a Jedi, and that meant I got to be a Jedi too.
Right. Right. That's amazing. I love that so much. And and this is why I was so attracted to this conversation, because I have a young daughter, and I want that for her so badly, to be able to love. It doesn't mean Star Wars necessarily. I'm not one of those parents who wants to like push all my stuff onto my kid, but like to find a love about something the way that I love Star Wars so much, because I connected so much with a character like Luke growing up. You know what I mean? So, and I want everything you just said, Addie. I just wish was shouted from the rooftops so much, from the discourse around the sequel trilogy, around Rey as a character, Daisy Ridley. I just think I hope that the sequels and the Rey character and don't get me wrong, I don't think they've gotten the same treatment that the prequels got necessarily from. I think it's all different. I think different times are different things, but I hope that they see the same renaissance from a re-appreciation of it, down the road, as the kids who grew up with the sequels kind of grow up, too, right? Especially as we get into new stories, you know.
Yeah, if if the prequel timing is any indication, I think we're still about 10 years out from the sequel renaissance.
Well, and
Unfortunately.
I think the internet might have even. I think the internet is a weird wormhole in culture, and that I don't know if we will see those kinds of renaissances the same way we did, because the pop culture discourse was so much different pre-social media than it was post-social media. The memification of everything has changed the way young people especially look at and appreciate things like movies and fandoms and stuff. And so I think the gap of time doesn't feel as long anymore, because we're so interconnected with all of the time, right? Like there's so much content to consume, whether it's actual content from Star Wars, whether it's a movie or a show or a comic book, what have you, or it's us talking about it on YouTube or Force Center or Star Wars Explained or anyone, right? Like we're never that far away from it. So that's what I worry about from that kind of reemergence getting to happen, right? I hope it happens. Don't get me wrong. The cynicalness of the internet, I think, has only gone downhill from 2005 to 2015 to 2025. So I want it all to be. I'm a sequel apologist too. Don't get me wrong. So I want. Yeah, it just comes down to, like I said, I want for my family to have what I had.
I had a terrible prequel sequel interaction 2 days ago that I was a sequel and a prequel apologist at the same time.
Right.
Before we go too far, I do want to address LQ had a very interesting comment. Interesting is not the right word. LQ, that has been on my mind honestly since I posted it and since Steve asked me to come on tonight and talk about this, which is the idea that it is great that I got to see myself as a Jedi, but there is still so much work to do in media in general as far as representation goes, for uh, the comment is showing up on screen shortly, but essentially that like LQ, I'm sorry that you haven't gotten to have that experience yet, and I hope that that is rectified for people the way I got to have that experience,
Yeah.
because it is important. Representation is so important.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with my brother years ago, and he actually then made the Ray argument to somebody recently, and I was so proud of him. But years ago, I had a conversation with my brother because we're Doctor Who people, and I was very excited that the Doctor was going to be a woman, and he couldn't understand why I was so excited about that. And I explained to him that I get to be like I can be the Doctor. Like it never occurred to me that I could be the Doctor. And like he had that realization, and he actually argued with one of his friends recently who is a girl dad, that was complaining about like nobody asked for the Ray movie, and he was like, your daughter needs the Ray movie. Like your
Mm-hmm.
daughter needs to see herself
Mm-hmm.
in this universe that you love so much. And it also makes me think of like in real life that I talked about on the Blathering on Monday. I watched the new Sally Ride documentary that's on National Geographic on Disney Plus. It's excellent. But they were talking about how like little girls weren't dressing up as astronauts because it never occurred to little girls, and it never occurred to some of the women who went into the astronaut corps that they could be astronauts, because when you looked at the Mercury 7, when you looked at the Apollo astronauts, they were all white dudes. So
Right.
like it never occurred to them that they could be astronauts because they didn't look at astronauts and see themselves. So like it never occurred to me that I could be a Jedi, because when I looked at the Jedi, it was a bunch of dudes
Right.
or alien ladies.
I think this is part of the conversation about representation, and that gets missed from the, I don't want to say bad actors, but yeah, you can call them bad actors. The folks who are just being like obviously obtuse about it, or intentionally obtuse about it, or intentionally ignorant about the idea, just because they want they want to protect the things that they grew up with, and they want to keep it for themselves, kind of a thing. And that's what sucks about parts of the world. But I appreciate your insight on that. Thank you for kind of expanding on that, because I think that's, like I said, I think that is a message that needs to be shouted from the rooftops, and can only be helpful to kind of I think the discourse, to have people heard about that more, like specifically to that point. And for me it resonates, like I said, because I have a little daughter, and it clicked for me on a different level, kind of thinking about it in that way, as you know, and as ignorant and selfish as that sounds, I mean, it's just the reality, right? It's just that level, another level of empathy you kind of like unlock when all that stuff is real for you. And I just appreciate
Yeah,
so much that we have that now.
I don't think you think about it until you think about it. Like I
Right.
don't think you realize that, oh my god, like no wonder like her, no wonder her favorite character was Padme. That was the only one she had to choose from. Like, like
Mm-hmm.
it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yep.
yeah, you don't think about it until you are sort of faced with it.
Yeah.
So that's why I never I try very hard to never like judge people who maybe don't think that way. I do judge them that once I explain it to them, they still think that way. I'm like, now the conversation's over. Um, but like, yeah, it is important. This is why it's important to have, John Boyega's character get a little more than what he got. It's why it's important. I have black male friends who were very upset with the sequels, and I think they were very justified to be, because of what happened to Finn and
Right.
Finn's storyline.
Yep. Yep.
And
Understood.
they were really looking forward to seeing themselves better represented in the Star Wars universe, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
um it's why I think as many problems as I had with some of the storytelling in the Acolyte, like I really appreciate what that show tried to do from a diversity, not to use a buzzword, perspective
Mm-hmm.
of the Star Wars universe, and the number of different looking people that made it onto screen in that show that people might have been able to see themselves in. Like that I will always admire that show for, even if I disagree with some of the other pieces of it, or storytelling aspects of it. So like I am always on board for more of that because I want everyone to get to have the experiences I have had where some of my favorite media has expanded to include people who look like me and that I can identify with.
Yep.
Like, there's nothing richer in the world than that.
Yeah.
And I hope one day everyone gets to have that experience
Yeah.
with somebody they
Absolutely.
love.
Absolutely. Well, Addie, I appreciate that insight. Thank you so much. That is why, it's exactly why I wanted to have that conversation. I wanted to hear your kind of really from the source, right? Like kind of from someone who lived it and now kind of gets to see that move forward. That's really, really cool. So thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Of course, Steve. Happy to.
Thank you. So we're gonna keep hanging out. You're welcome to hang out. You're welcome to join the party or keep rolling on with the party. We're gonna do a little NBA draft fashion talk here soon, and then we're gonna take other calls from whoever else the hell decides to show up, like Jared, like Cal. So do you wanna join me and Brady for some you wanna look at funny suits from 20 years ago?
I can do that. I have absolutely no frame of reference for
Oh, that's
this.
okay. That's the
So
idea.
it could
That's
be fun.
No, yeah, it's gonna be fun. So we're all just hanging out. So Brady, if Brady's around, I hope Brady can come to the party here and give me some insight on sharing some draft fashion accolades. I'm going to set up my little presentation here that I've prepared. So as I get this ready, let me just give you guys a little bit of background as to why we're doing this. So today is the NBA draft. It's currently happening right now. You can watch it on ESPN. Brady says he's almost here, so perfect. So Brady, I'm going to vamp for you for a minute while you get here. You can watch the. Do I have my thing ready? Excellent. All right, there we go. You can watch the NBA draft on ESPN right now if you have it. It is going on. There's only 2 rounds. We are in round 1. We are at pick 10. The Houston Rockets are currently on the clock. We're not going to talk too much about the basketball itself because honestly, no one really cares. The only good player in the draft that everyone
Brady cares.
Brady cares.
Steve.
That's true. That's true. The only like big giant name player in this draft is Cooper Flag. That's kind of like the big mainstream name. This is the star player from Duke. He was 17 years old this year at Duke. He left high school a year earlier to go play at Duke. He was the best player in high school as a junior. He was the best player in college as a kid who should have been in high school. And now he's going to the NBA. And as the number 1 overall pick to the Dallas Mavericks. So we talked a little bit about that with Brady back when the Mavericks were not only the pick to win the first pick, but when the implications from that big trade they had earlier this year where they sent their franchise player Luka Doncic over to Brady's Los Angeles Lakers. So that is the basketball side of the story, but the fun side of the story is the fashion. Brady, this is why I need you to. Yeah, Brady's spitting all sorts of draft facts, so we're gonna get him on here to show us here. But what I want to show here is ranking the. These are the top 3. We're gonna go through the top 3 because I didn't have that much time to put together a top 5 or a top 10 today. I'm sorry, folks. I work a full-time job and I have a child, so I do what I can. I put together what I can on my lunch break. But we are ranking we are ranking the best worst fashion of NBA draft classes here on Blathering Backstage. And this is the draft class themselves. We're not going to pick on any. Well, we'll pick on some people individually as we go through them. But these are, in producer Steve's opinion, the top 3 worst dressed NBA draft classes. Number 3, Addie, you have a question before we start. Please go ahead.
I do not have a question. I need to address the comment because I don't think anyone saw my reply.
Okay.
The answer is purple or yellow.
For your lightsaber color?
Yes. I responded and I don't think anyone saw
Would you
it.
have picked yellow pre-sequel trilogy?
No, because I didn't know yellow was an option.
Okay, that's the thing. Okay, that's always my question when I ask people about like lightsaber color stuff. I'm like, can I only pick like canon colored lightsabers, or can I go like, can I think outside the box?
We're not going canon colored. I would like a pink lightsaber, please.
Well, there you go.
Anyway,
see, exactly.
The
You
best
should be able to have whatever color you want.
of the NBA draft class.
Yes.
Let's go.
Here we go. Okay. This will be a quick present, and then we're gonna have Brady come on here to give us some of like the new kid stuff because these are all old because I'm old. Here we go. The third worst dressed draft class in NBA history is the is the 1996 NBA draft. This is number 3. This one was bad. There are some highlights on this picture, not just the clothes. I mean, first, I forgot to. Oh no, something went wrong. Hold on. My Canva died. Let's cut back real quick. Sorry, folks.
Oh.
That's okay. We just have to return to editor, and I got to hit present again. I just don't want all my important information on screen. Here we go.
Live to tape, folks. Live to tape.
This is what we do. Hey, producer Steve is producer Steve for a reason. Anyway, yeah, Jared, you make a great point. None of those suits fit. That was Jared, the fashion.
That's my problem. None of these suits fit.
Oh, folks, it gets so much worse. Brady makes a great point. Kobe, what are you wearing? Yes, the illustrious Kobe Bryant right here in the front row. First of all, Kobe, that tie might be wider than his hands. Like, look at the length. Like, look at that thing. It looks like a dish towel at the bottom. That is a massive tie. Okay, so yes, and then you can see. Okay, yep, the pants. I guess the high water thing. You know, we got a lot of folks who've got that. Those pants are barely going down to that guy's ankles. Like, that's really bad.
Okay,
that's really bad.
Okay, but this is before they were in the NBA, correct?
And yes, this was right. They had not played in the NBA yet.
And they made no money playing college ball or with any endorsement deals. That might have been the longest pair of pants they could find.
You're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong. You are absolutely not wrong. I think another really good trend here I wanted to point out is, first of all, I meant to look up who this guy is. I apologize for not being able to see who that is. I don't
that red blazer
think that's
is a choice.
I can't tell. It's a blurry thing. Anyways, I just wanted to point out the shoes, the red blazer, obviously. But here, my friend, black shoes, white socks. What are we doing over here? This is not a good. I don't care if it's 1896, 1956, 1976, 1996, 2006. That is not a good look. I'm sorry. And we've got. I mean, I love the amount of buttons we've got on some of these things. I mean, this is a 6-button jacket.
Suits, like double-breasted suits, only work if they are well tailored.
Nothing here is well tailored. Nothing here is well tailored.
That is a 1996 trend, if I have ever seen one, though. The baggy double-breasted suit, like there in my mind's eye, I can see other famous people wearing that suit in 1996. I don't know why, but that was very much a thing.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So we already pointed out Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, Ray Allen, and I believe that is Steve Nash on the right. Brady will correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's Steve Nash with the 90s cut and another wide-ass tie. So yeah, this was
that side of the screen, Steve.
Oh, you can't see all the way over there? Okay, I can move it over. Whoop. There he is. Steve Nash right over there on the right. I think that's Steve Nash. I'm pretty sure that's Steve Nash. But yeah. This was the third worst dressed draft class in NBA history, and it just happened to have several Hall of Famers. But what are you gonna do? All right, are we ready for number 2? Oh man, I even had a thing for that. All right, ready for number 2? The sound thing. Here we go.
I'm not sure, but let's go.
Number 2. The God damn it, Canva. You bastard, Canva.
We can see the whole thing though.
Okay. Hold on. I know. I'll fix it. But
it's like a bad documentary where we're hiding people's identities to protect their innocence.
We probably should, be honest. Okay, here we go. Now you can see everybody, but now you can't see the little thing. No, it's number 2. This is the year 2000. This is a special one. This is a special one. I am struggling, Keensport. You know why I'm struggling, Cal?
Why don't any of these suits fit?
This was 4 years later, and I think it's gotten worse. For the record, I think it's gotten worse.
Look at that jacket on the right end.
Yeah.
That jacket is like 3 sizes too big.
All of the pants.
On the one standing.
Oh, this guy here?
On the one standing. His shoulders are not that wide.
Oh, yeah. There's there's practically shoulder pads on some of these. Like, look at the crease on that shoulder pad, like right there. Like, that thing looks like he could go play football. Same thing with this one. That's a massive shoulder. So two things I wanted to point out from all of these. I'm not going to go back because it's going to crash again. There's a pinstripe in every single one of these. And one of the stats I wanted to look up was how many years in a row did we go in the NBA draft with at least one pinstripe suit? I imagine there was a pretty good streak because we had at least in all of these, there's a few pinstripes. The good thing, well, not the good thing. The bad thing about the NBA draft, the 2000 NBA draft was These dudes were about as bad as they were dressed because no one in this draft class was good. Kwame Brown was the most notable person from this draft class. Everyone else from this draft class was not as notable. So the 2000 draft class is famously a bit of a dud. But from the way they were dressed, how would you have known, right? This is also a very questionable color combination. Like, what are we doing with like the reverse pumpkin? You know what I mean? Like, this is just not. That's not a good
Did
look.
he go to an orange and green school? Was he representing
Who the hell is orange and green, Addie? I don't know. That's like,
Miami?
I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah, that's true. Miami, fair. I got that wrong. Miami. That so doesn't match though.
No, it really doesn't.
That really
Like,
doesn't match. But
someone,
yeah, you're right, Miami. But
someone
no,
told
that's
him that
yeah.
was good, and he left the house
Someone
that
did.
way.
Someone did.
He's
Someone
also he is rocking the Regis Philbin Who Wants to Be a Millionaire tie matches shirt look of
Yes.
the 2000s though.
The camouflage tie and that you almost can't see that it's there because it's so perfectly matched. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You're absolutely
I
right.
did. I
even
always
the
admired
shoes.
Regis when he did it.
Yeah. Yeah. But
he was Regis Philbin.
This guy here, again, I didn't get enough names. This guy here's got a decent fit. His shoulder pads are a little aggressive, but his suit at least almost fits. His suit almost fits, and that's, I think, the best I can do on this picture.
And because the rest of them are so baggy, it looks like it doesn't fit.
Right.
Like it looks like it's too tight.
Oh, if he was next to a bunch of people from 5 years ago wearing suits and wearing that, yeah, he'd look ridiculous. But yeah. Yeah.
At least no one's wearing white socks.
This is a very baggy look too here. We got some big suits. So yeah, big suits was the story of the NBA draft in 96 2000. So anyway, before we get to number 1, I want to bring on Brady because Brady is now here. And I want to get Brady's opinion on what we've seen so far, what he thinks. Well, no, I don't want him to, because he'll totally get it right, what he thinks the number 1 will be, because I think I actually already told him anyway.
Also
go ahead.
To the two standing on the end, are you being drafted into the NBA or are you going to prom in your white tuxedo?
Yeah, the white tux does have a very prom look or like groomsman look to it, you know? Yeah. Yeah. But, you know, hey, this was fashion. But you know what? David Stern's suit looks like it fits. The old guy's suit looks like it fits.
He's got money.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. These guys aren't, I mean, at this point, they've signed like a car dealership deal or something. You know what I mean? Like they're out of school in between. Someone's gotten it. I don't know.
Money will buy you a well-tailored suit.
It will. And David Stern had plenty of it. Anyway, we're going to bring Brady on for the end of this discussion and to tell me if he's got any specific thoughts on what we've seen so far. Brady, welcome to the show. What is your do you have a personal favorite NBA draft fit?
Hello. I think I know where this is going, so I'm gonna save my favorite, and it's kind of surprising, to be honest.
Okay. I'm glad you're playing the game.
I think, in fairness to these guys, a lot of them I think are like straight out of high school, so they're probably wearing, you know, a parent's or someone.
It's off the rack, at the very least. It's off the rack.
Yeah, and this was like 90s too, so like this draft was 2000.
This was 2000. Yeah, this was 2000.
It was still the 90s. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so the NBA, like in terms of fashion, wasn't there yet. I mean, we had an MVP that year who was wearing like jean shorts and a tucked in t-shirt for his MVP pick. So the fit game wasn't there.
The fit game was not there.
And you know, these are kids too, so
yeah.
If I were like, you know, if I brought my like, I don't know, my speech academic decathlon suit, I would look just like these dudes. But yeah.
So I'll go back up to the top here real quick. I wanted to. Oh wait. Okay. So here we're gonna reveal number 1 now. So Brady, you're gonna know this, and this one of your favorites probably comes from this. But not only is this probably the worst dressed draft in the history of the NBA, this is also arguably one of the most talented drafts in the history of the NBA. Folks, I present to you the number 1 absolutely worst dressed draft in NBA history. I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller so we can actually see everybody. Hold on, the anticipation is growing. Oh yeah, you got to see that the guys on the edges are the ones that are really bringing the heat. So we got to make sure we can really, there we go. All right, here we go. Worst dressed draft in NBA history. 2003.
Oh yeah.
Why are the coats so long?
The draft of the chosen one. LeBron James, King James is all the way there on the right. He is glowing in white because he is the savior of the post-Jordan NBA. He was the chosen one. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated at like 15 or 16. This draft featured LeBron James, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony. I mean, this draft was absolutely insane. As a basketball watcher in the 2000s, this was the draft. This was our, Bird and Magic draft. This was also the worst dressed draft ever. So again, we have another pinstripe appearance. We have more
Do you
white.
own a suit?
What's that, Addie?
Do you own a suit?
I own several.
Is your suit coat supposed to be longer than your fingers?
Not that long, especially when you see. Okay, so like Darko here's got like not a terrible proportion. He just has super look how long his arms are, right? But like Wade's jacket here is way too long. LeBron's jacket is so freaking long. It's just ridiculous.
That brown one on the left.
The brown one on the
so
this looks he looks like a 1920s like detective like looking for bootleggers. But
he looks like he's from the Joel Schumacher Batman films.
Right, yeah, exactly. Dwayne Wade looks like he could fit two of himself in this suit. Like I think if you could put like Dwayne Wade either looks like two or he looks like there's like two people like sitting on top of their shoulders on top of Dwayne Wade, and Dwayne Wade is just the third person on the shoulders. You know what I mean? Like a kid, like three kids trying to get into an R-rated movie.
Yes.
And then this poor guy in the back, just most famous draft picture in NBA history, didn't have his eyes open. So what are you gonna do? Chris Bosh though, Chris Bosh, decent fit. Of everybody here, Chris Bosh in the back here looks like a decent fit. He's also getting like covered by our guy in the pinstripes and Carmelo Anthony, who again he's wearing like a Revolutionary War coat. Carmelo is with the amount of buttons we've got here. And like the flare out, yeah.
I do have to give props to way too long brown suit guy. He's got a pocket square.
Yeah, he's got a good pocket square game. LeBron might have a pocket square, but everything is so white you can't
he does.
see it.
He has a white handkerchief.
There you go.
But I had to ask Steve because women's fashion is baloney, and I have no idea what length men's suit coats are supposed to be because women's suit coats end at their waist. But they're too long. They're too long to be suit coats, and they're not long enough to be trench coats. To LQ's point, they went to the big and tall store and they got sold the extra tall jackets this year after 3 years ago not getting any.
So I just want to know, did tailors just not have any work during this time? Like, did they just not do any, like, if everything was off the rack or if everything was just very baggy like this? I wonder if anything was fitted. That's all. I don't know.
So
I bet Ken has an oversized suit. We'll have to ask him.
Oh yeah, we gotta ask.
I bet he doesn't have it anymore, but I bet he wore an oversized.
I bet it's in the corner of. I bet it's in the corner of a closet somewhere, Addie. Like a lot of other stuff. Sorry, Brady. Go ahead.
I do. This is where fashion is subjective because one of my favorite draft fits is actually LeBron's fit, and I think it's because while it's baggy, it is tailored.
Defend the king. Go ahead.
Because he does have wide shoulders, and the fit actually is tailored to him, so it looks proportional. Like if you look at some guys to the guy next to D Wade to our left, it looks like he's kind of wearing dad's clothes, like a young kid.
Yeah, this dude looks like he's like about to get seated at the board of directors. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I mean, I wouldn't wear any of this personally, but it is the fashion of the time. And like, if you're gonna go into a specific direction, you will execute it at its furthest extreme. And I think LeBron does that the best.
Is the NBA draft always this time of year?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Around this time. Yeah, it's after the season ends, yeah.
Well, LeBron at least didn't commit the cardinal fashion sin. He did not wear white after Labor Day.
It's well before Labor Day. So yeah, no worries there. Well, Brady, I appreciate your exclusive basketball fashion thoughts. and I thought you did a good job of defending LeBron's honor there. From
Yeah.
the other callers we have here, you're welcome to hang out and stay on. But from the other callers we have in the queue here, Jared and Ethan both have fashion thoughts. So I want to bring them in. I'm going to bring both Ethan and Jared together for fashion thoughts. Cal, if you have fashion thoughts, let me know. I'll bring you in for fashion thoughts too. Yeah, I didn't think so. So we will. We'll bring Jared and Ethan on for some NBA draft fashion thoughts, and then we will get Cal on. We'll get to folks' questions if you guys have any. We'll spin the wheel, and that'll be the show for this evening. Does that sound like a plan? Sounds like a plan.
Is this the end of the presentation, Steve? Is there not a best dressed list?
No, this is it. I only had time for 4 slides, so
okay.
Yeah,
we need some uplifting. Well, I put LeBron in one of the best dressed.
Yeah, you did exactly. You defended LeBron's honor, and I thought you did a great job. So.
Yep. In some recent draft, I think Wemby in the 2023 draft, he had an excellent outfit. He's like a 7'4" dude, so it's really hard to just make it work. But I think he had it tailored really well, and it just looked really classy. And who else? I think a lot of the more recent, Zion Williamson in 2020 had a very nice draft outfit. It was more like a semi-casual.
I'm gonna look for. Hold on. Whoop. Go back to Steve. I am going to look up. You said there was somewhat I'm gonna just Google. Fortnite.
Kevin Knox.
NBA draft suit of Kevin Knox. Oh, okay. Oh, what a cornball.
But Fortnite is kind of having its like.
No, I get it, but it's just like I just like you don't think in like 20 years he's gonna look at this and be like, was that really a good idea? What are we doing, man?
That's a choice.
That's a choice indeed.
Yeah, that's something. I hope he was paid at least.
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, good for him. You get the bag. I mean, hey, if Fortnite wanted to throw me a bag to take a picture, I would do it. But yeah, that's. I
think Jared brings up another one. Bol in 2019 had a really good draft outfit.
Is this the one with shorts? I think he was one of the ones with shorts, right? Oh, that's a good look. That is a very. Oh, let me move it over a little bit so you guys can see it. That's a good look right there. That is a good look right there. Look at that.
Oh, that's classy. That's a red carpet.
Yeah, well, that's what the draft is. I mean, it really is just a big red carpet. Yeah, I dig the spider web. That's cool.
I know. After you said this was the topic tonight, I saw a New York Times article that was just entirely about the fashion of the NBA draft, and I was like, things I didn't know were a thing for 100, Alex.
Yeah, fashion in the NBA has become its own thing, really. Like pre-game outfits are really big now. I mean, just look at Russell Westbrook. He wears the most outrageous things, but some of them actually are kind of work. I don't know how much of that is like Russ being like super yoked, Like there's one outfit he literally just wore a blazer and no shirt underneath, and but if you're fit, anything you wear can look good.
Well, here we go. I'm pulling up an article here from.
If you're fit and you have it fitted, Brady.
I can tell you the suits look a lot better right now. There's a couple, and here's a fit from this year's draft. Now, this is what the kids are really into now that I do not have the confidence to pull off even a little bit. Let me make it a little smaller so you can see the whole profile. Oh, we'll get close. This is an aggressive fit, so it looks good. Like on the top, you're like, okay, yeah, nice jacket. And then when you look at the bottom, hey, party on the bottom. Let's go. Now that is, I wish I had the confidence to wear that.
The shorts.
The shorts are an interesting look. Interesting look indeed. All right. So anyway, I guess I promised Jared and Ethan, and Cal even has fashion questions. So we're gonna open up the floor here to the crew. If you would like to call in and join us, feel free. The link is in the chat. But I'm going to bring on Jared, and I'm going to bring on Ethan, and I'm going to bring on Cal. The gang is all here. Let's try to keep it civil. Let's talk draft fashion. You boys had fashion thoughts first. Let's wrap up our fashion thoughts, and then if you guys had any other questions, we'll go to those, and then we'll go to the wheel, and then Addie can go to bed. Sound like a plan? Addie, you're raising your
Addie's-
hand. I'm the only
I
one who
think
can see
Addie's
you. Go
trying
ahead.
to leave.
Yeah.
Addie's tapping out right now.
Addie's tapping out right now. Addie, thank you for joining us. We
no.
appreciate your Ray talk. Thank
I'm
you for
sorry.
being here. No, it's all good. This is all good.
I just want to thank you again, Steve, for inviting me on to expand on my thoughts from earlier today. I appreciate it. Representation matters. I hope you all have a great fashion talk. I am going to bed. Good night.
Take care.
Later, Addie.
Thank you so much
Night.
for being here. So we appreciate Addie always contributing. Yeah, that was I enjoyed our talk on Star Wars. But the boys are going to talk about fashion now. So, Jared.
Oh yes.
Jared, I think you tagged before Ethan on fashion thoughts. No, actually,
Ethan.
Ethan
It was
did.
Ethan.
It was Ethan. So Ethan, what you had something. What do you got here, friend?
Okay, bring up your worst dressed picture again. That last one.
The one with the shorts? On the
No,
presentation.
sorry, on the
Yeah.
presentation.
Okay, hold on, I got you.
Leave it, Brady, to defriend LeBron on anything.
That's not surprising. I mean, come on. Hold on, I gotta resize.
Won't you
the
sigh at me, young man?
screen. Who, me?
No, Brady. I can hear him
Oh.
sighing.
Okay, so this was number 1, the 2003 draft class.
Yep. I need you to zoom in
Oh, Jesus
on
Christ! Ethan, you're asking for a
gentlemen.
lot. Okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm doing yeah.
Okay.
But the
What are we
the
zooming on?
gentleman all the way to the left, the gray suit.
Yeah.
Oh, my friend Carmelo Anthony. This guy here.
Oh, is that Carmelo? Oh,
On the very far
he's
left?
great. His
Yeah.
yeah, he's great. His suit is not. His suit has something that I have never seen in my life. You guys notice that suit doesn't have a lapel; it has a collar.
You're not wrong.
My God, he's right.
What is that? And buttons. That's not a suit jacket. That's just a jacket.
It's a Revolutionary War jacket. If that thing was red and white, you'd think he was a British soldier.
Well, not.
It looks like
Okay,
something out
yeah.
of oh my God.
But-
Blade Runner.
Yeah. Okay.
That-
Cal, are you
that
going to
is-
defend Carmelo here at all?
I'm not necessarily going to defend him, but that is, if y'all are familiar with the 70s, that were polyester suits, and polyester suits had a collar on them. But I don't think
You're
that's
right.
possible. I don't know.
A longer, longer
it was a lot
points.
longer. So, it was longer points, yes. But polyester was big in the 70s. I don't have it anymore, but I actually had a polyester suit I used to wear in the 90s. But as a form of rebellion, a throwback, if you will, because everybody thought it was terrible. But I liked it. I didn't care. And the collar was actually bigger than that. And mine was beige. And when it was hot outside, it was excruciating. But anyway, I wore it. Whatever.
But yeah,
I
so
bet
that was.
you wore it well, Cal.
Nah, probably not.
So that was one thing, and then it was mentioned before, but gosh, tailors just must not have had much work
Right?
because it's the pants really that does it the worst. Like, has anybody ever heard of a taper? Like, get these pants to be not so baggy. It's craziness.
Dude, I'm not kidding. Dwayne Wade, let me go back one more time. Dwayne Wade could fit in this suit twice. Like look at the width of these legs. He could stand in his own pants twice. He could fit in the jacket twice. That is a massive suit for a skinny man. It's
You know what?
wild.
A conspiracy theory just popped into my head. I think the tailors that do these suits year after year for the draft have an inside joke and bet who can make these guys look the most ridiculous without somebody really questioning it. I bet there's got to be some angle here.
Hey, that's fashion.
It's fashion. He's not.
Well, wait a minute.
Does-
Who is the dude in the middle? Is that Iverson? Because I remember.
No, this is
Iverson.
2003. I couldn't tell you who this dude in the middle is. This is Dwayne Wade.
The dude in the middle on the
Oh wait,
bottom.
yeah, I
right?
don't have it up. My bad.
Well,
I
that
think
guy.
Iverson.
This is not Iverson's draft class.
Yeah,
Well, it
this-
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I just thought it was Iverson. But anyway, I don't know basketball that well. But the guy in the middle looks like his suit kind of fits. Besides that arm, he's
Oh
got
yeah.
that. You see that? You see the ring?
What are you
Yeah,
doing? What are we
he's doing
doing here?
okay.
What
It
happened
looks
here?
like. Yeah, I don't know, but everything else looks like it fit.
Yeah,
But
this
that
is
Gotcha,
arm
right.
kind of bad. And then
Yeah.
and then the white dude next to him to the left, I guess.
Yeah,
He looks all right, I guess. Yeah, he looks all right.
yeah.
I mean, it's not that.
Still the pants, though.
Yeah.
Still the
And
pants.
it's-
pants
those
are
are
wide.
also how
those
they're
are some big
posing.
pants.
That's how I noticed that. Pants are wide.
Yeah.
Especially
It's
on
also
that
how
right
they're-
side.
Yeah, it's also how they're posing. Like the photographer did
Well-
nothing to help them.
A lot of people.
I'll say
and
this.
you notice,
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I'll say this for
No,
gray
go ahead.
suit guy.
For
Gray
Mello?
suit
Yeah.
guy that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
The white dude.
Oh, the white dude. Oh yeah, Darko Milicic. Okay, yeah.
His suit is like the jacket is like the correct length. Like his
Yeah.
fingers meet the end, and it doesn't go past there. So that's good at least. But man, pants.
well, you also got to think a lot of these players are these are basketball players. They're super fucking tall. They're at least what 2'3".
6 to 7.
You know,
yeah.
and I'm 6'3", and it's hard for me to find a T-shirt that can accommodate the length of my
Right.
arms, that showing how skinny I am. So I can only imagine with the suit. But you also got to think that these people are getting paid thousands, if not millions of dollars. They can afford a tailor. You see what I'm saying? They can
Well,
afford-
and that's a question. That's a question I had in the chat before. So obviously, like at this stage of this year that we're looking at there, this was before these college kids were like getting deals and
Oh, yeah.
stuff.
Well,
So you would, at least not under
Public
the, at
deal.
least,
exactly. Not under
at
the
least
table.
above board.
Right, exactly. Basketball was very notorious, especially the really, really good players.
Yeah.
Was notorious for under the board stuff.
So
But and again, this was also a time where you could go straight out of high school. Like LeBron went straight from high school to the league. Dwayne Wade went to college. Most of these other guys went to college. Darko Milicic came from Europe. Carmelo Anthony here on the left that you blasphemed earlier. He won the national championship that year at Syracuse. Chris Bosh was a standout at Georgia Tech. So yeah, there were some good.
and of
NBA
course,
players.
none of this has anything to do with their ability on the court.
No, of course, no.
obviously.
Obviously, we're just making fun of.
But,
we're just here to make fun of baggy
Just making
suits,
fun
that's
of
all.
what they,
We're just here to make fun of baggy
But
suits.
I guess my question there was, because this is not something I've ever followed. But after things became a little more legit when it came to the college players being able to get deals and actually make some money, is that probably around the time that you saw a shift in the draft fashion?
Not necessarily. I think draft fashion still got a little bit more modern as fashion. I mean, it was still always like, I think as social media became more popular and the emphasis on it became more popular, they continue to they still try pretty hard. And like you can see now, like when we see some of the dudes tonight with the eccentric suits and everything, I think it just became more of like a personal brand thing. You know, being putting that stuff out. What were you gonna say, Cal?
No, I just said you said eccentric or bad. But one of the things I really want to know is, especially the black dudes, did their mothers approve these suits before they went out for these pictures? I'm dead serious. They were not allowed.
I think regardless
Well,
of the background, it's either for all the players, it's the mom or the girlriend usually who has
Right.
to
Somebody lets them
sign
walk
off.
out of the
Right.
house.
Yeah, Jared, yeah, you've wanted to say something for a while. Please go ahead.
No, well, I asked this in the chat as well, like, and how does one actually get into the draft pool? Like, obviously, a college player
Yeah.
is an easy, but like,
Yeah.
you know, if I was young, fit, and talented,
Mhm.
how the hell would one go about this?
So
Like, Can I just put my name in and see if anybody picks me?
Technically, you kind of sort of can. There was a joke back in the late 2000s, early 2010s. There was a player who went. I think his name was Mark Titus. He had a blog called Club Trillion, and he was a walk-on at Ohio State. Okay, and he was never ever going to go pro. He was never anywhere close to being good enough to go pro. But he had a thing at like their pep rally, like their big college pep rally thing, like hyping up the basketball season, where he came out with a mic and was like, made this big, like, I just want to announce everybody, I'm coming back for my senior year. And it like went viral, this whole thing, like the walk on at the end of the bench who's a junior, they had made an announcement that he was coming back for his senior year. And then he wrote as part of his blog, I entered the NBA draft as like a total no one to see just kind of what the stipulations are or whatever. And it's essentially he got turned away from like being put in the quote unquote draft pool, I guess you could say. But theoretically, anyone can get their name in there by, if they're either a player in America in high school, college, or if they're a semi-pro in Europe. Those are the places where they come from. And now we're also seeing from China players come over from Asia as well. So usually you have to be in some form of organized basketball that the NBA is going to like scout and notice you from. Like realistically, if you're going to get in there, that's right. But like technically, I don't know if there isn't a law saying you have to be in something to do it.
Technically, right's the best right.
Right, exactly. But the NBA is it is a collectively bargained association of players, and so a collectively bargained union of players. So that is also part of they play that plays a role into it too. It's not just like they can pick up anybody off the street and sign them to a contract. Brady, did you have any thoughts on that?
Well, some teams actually literally do sign people off the street. Oh, sort of. Like there was a Lakers shooter a couple of years ago who was a DoorDash driver, like while he was doing his workouts, and he's quite literally, because like the team that year was so bad they needed a shooter. It's like, hey, you can make 100 threes in a row. Okay, you're on the team now. And that's what he did.
But so did he play any kind of was he in any basketball before that, whether it was like the G League or college ball or?
I think he was a college player. So
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And recently on the Warriors, they had a guy who's not a pro. He didn't play any pro basketball, but he was a lacrosse player.
Mm-hmm.
And he retired from lacrosse, and they just saw him like, hey, you have some hoops skill. Why don't you sign for the G League team, which is the minor league team for the NBA?
Right.
And he played some good minutes for them.
Yeah, that's kind of like if you are gonna be literally picked up off the street as a total nobody, and you don't just have like magic shoes like Bow Wow did, then the angle you have to go is you go up through the G League essentially. And that is even very rare. There's not that many. I mean, there's a good amount of successful G League players in the NBA, but not like a lot of the big stars you see are G League players. Usually those guys are usually top draft talent or guys who were diamonds in the rough that were discovered later on. But the process is convoluted, and the draft is only two rounds anyway. So that's why we only get so many of these excellent suits.
80 rounds or something.
That's the NFL. The NFL also the football used to be a really, really long draft for like a bazillion rounds. I don't know what the NBA one. I know the NBA used to be more than 2. I believe.
Yeah, it used to be like similarly linked to like the NFL. But like toward the later rounds, people just draft fictional characters. So they thought, okay, let's just put it at 2. Leave it all unsigned afterward.
Right. Yeah, NBA rosters are a lot smaller than other sports teams. You're talking 15 guys.
Hockey only does 7 rounds, I think.
Right. But even that's a lot. When you think about close to 30 teams, everyone having a pick, at least the NBA draft is only 2 rounds. And then if you're second, man, half people tune out after the top 10 in the NBA draft. There's some good picks in the teams.
I think that's every draft.
After 20, well, the football draft gets juiced for the whole first round and maybe the second round. But basketball, especially in this year, even is another one where there's only a few prospects at the top of the draft people are really excited about. But
wasn't Allen Iverson a street baller or something?
He played at Georgia. He was a college player. Yeah, but he grew up. I believe he grew up in the Norfolk, Southeast Virginia region, and then went to Georgetown. But he was a very famous NCAA player at Georgetown before he went pro. Yeah,
he was actually also a really good quarterback. He says allegedly says he was a better quarterback than a basketball player.
Yeah, he says, and that's funny. It often there's a few cases like that. I mean, LeBron was a top football recruit coming out of high school as well.
Yeah, but he was too tall.
There was, yeah, he would have been mad.
Well, football destroys the body.
LeBron would be a hell of a tight end. Are you kidding me? LeBron would absolutely crush people as a tight end.
Okay, fair enough.
He
6'9".
LeBron James could probably if LeBron wanted to be, he could be the best tight end in the NFL. I'll die on that hill.
Now, Steve,
go ahead.
Steve, did Allison? I can't remember. Like I said, back in the '90s, I collected sports cards, whatever, basketball cards. Allison was a short king, right? He's like really short. Yeah. And I remember Iverson because he had like tattoos and he was younger and he was like cool. You know what I mean? He was just cool. He was involved in like the whole rap scene at that time. Yeah. He was in music videos, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
You know, I remember him. I remember him a lot because he kind of changed from what I see. I'm not a sports person, but from what I've seen, changed not the fashion, but just the attitude and whatever. Like this is new type of stuff.
He had a social persona about him.
Yeah,
that's what it was. He put himself out there more than a lot of other people.
And he was the post Jordan was really the first big shoe guy, and I think, at least for my generation, Allen Iverson was the next after Jordan. Allen Iverson was the big shoe brand of a 10-year period there in the late 90s, early 2000s. If you didn't have Jordans, you had AI3s. Like those were the two basketball shoes the kids had, right? I mean, everyone wanted Jordans, obviously, but the Allen Iverson shoes were really popular back then.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, like Jordan's always been the goody two shoes of basketball. Iverson brought that bad boy aspect to it, kind of like Rodman in a way. But for a newer generation.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good comparison. I would say Iverson was I think that's a good comparison. Rodman was, Rodman walked so Iverson could run, and then what was it? I
don't think we can say what
Ty Lue in the finals just to lose. Go ahead. Yeah, that's fair. Air walking. That's the joke there. Pata.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Hold on, where's my thing? There it is.
Also, though, the fashion of the '90s was crazy. Just like 70s, 80s.
It was the best.
Every era, but to me, it was the best because that was my era. But I'm just saying, every era has its craziness. 70s and 80s. Crazy. We'll look 2000s. We'll look back at 2020s about, well, this was inspired by COVID. Everybody was staying home. Everybody wore yoga pants or something like that. You know what I'm saying? They'll be like, that would be something that inspires every generation of fashion. It's always changes. It's a given.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. But in every generation, there are still people that are badly dressed.
Well,
that's fair.
Well, no, I'm not saying that it's not
it
bad.
Can't all. The excuse can't all be, well, it was the 90s. People were still badly dressed in the 90s.
We will look back.
No, we weren't.
Ethan, we wasn't. We will look back on it and we remember that we were in style. You see what I'm saying? Just like
I will hear no blasphemy, Ethan. None.
Hey, I will say.
Hey, I was there.
What are you gonna
say,
Brandon?
like Steve with the Charlotte Hornets starter jacket. See, that shit was
everybody had that.
Everybody had that. You look at it now, it's kind of tacky. Those are puffy ass jackets.
They were awesome jackets. Awesome.
Alex in the chat does make a good point. I wanted to point out that I'm sleeping on the Starburys. Those were the Starburys. Those were the, if you could only get the $25 shoes at Walmart. Those were the first affordable designer basketball shoe from an athlete, and I think he made an absolute shit ton of money from those. So good for him.
Oh wow, that's smart.
You talk about Shaq school shoes.
What are you saying?
You talk about Shaq that they sold at Walmart.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Shaq has shoes.
Shaq had shoes.
Yeah. Well, Starbury had that move. The Starburys came first. Yeah. Marbury had his shoes at Walmart first.
Yeah.
Or Target or whatever, like big box retailers.
Know what fashion? Yeah. Know what I was always dressed as? you could see me in the skate park with big ass baggy brown corduroy pants with my some manner of skater tee, chain attached to wallet attached to belt loop.
Yep.
You
Oh,
know?
I love it.
Yeah,
Yep, like a baker shirt.
Yep, my
Yeah.
big ass skate shoes with the giant tongue, which I still wear to
DC.
this day. I wear
DC.
globes. But
Oh,
yep,
really?
DC, Etnies, globes,
Yeah.
Vans. Oh yeah, that was my
DC.
fashion choices back in the day.
Well, that's
I
another
still say
thing, too,
baggy is the
Jared.
best. Why do clothes have to be tight? Baggy is comfy, baggy is good, baggy for the win.
Jared, that's another thing about 90s fashion too. We had that skater boom going. Everybody was skating who was a teenager then. I myself was a World Industries guy. I had the World Industries board with a
Nice.
Wet Billy on it.
I
Yeah,
was gonna
and
say Playboy or Wet Willy.
no, I was Wet Willy, and well, anyway, but you had the baggy fashion there for that, which is not really ideal for skateboarding, but whatever. It's all about the look. And
Hey,
but
it worked for me.
it worked for freeform because it gave you more room to move around with the bagginess. I get that, but still,
And I
it,
was
it
just
was
a terrible skater.
it kind of went a little excessive with some of the bagginess we did in the
No.
90s. I mean, people had shit falling off their
No,
ass.
no.
You literally see it.
No, but well, I never had it off my ass. I had at least a belt or something around the proper area of the waist. But baggy all the way to the ground, nothing will beat the pants that were baggier than your foot that went just to the ground. So when it rained, you had about 3 inches of water line on
It's
the
wet.
bottom of your
It's
pants.
wet.
Were those Jankos?
No,
The bottoms
well,
of them were ripped to
Jankos
hell.
were
Trip over them all the time.
Jankos were a brand that were like that, but you could
Jinko.
just get jeans were that big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes,
Jinko
there were
had
Jankos for that.
wide had them wide at the bottoms. They were very wide. They went wider. I remember buying a pair of Jinkos. I only owned one pair of Jinkos there, and I went and the woman sold me because they got commission. I went to a place called Gadzooks. I don't know if y'all remember Balls. I don't know if y'all remember Balls. Balls used to have that was like cutting edge and on the 90s
Yeah,
edge
right,
and
right.
green, had all that cool stuff, right? Anyway, but she got commission, but she sold me this is messed up, Jared. She sold me some high water Jinkos. Jinkos were not supposed to be high water, but I didn't know any better. She was all about that commission, and I put like the
She got
second pair.
boy, she bought a
Took you
steak
for a
with your
ride.
money.
Second pair I put on. I thought they looked good. She assured me she looked good, and she was hot as fuck, and she was an older lady, so I was like, I won't go with her.
Oh,
I
Young
told,
Cal learning.
yeah, I
Understandable.
told my half. I'm going out. I told my half sister who bought me those jeans. I was like, I want these because of that girl's recommendation. Then I get home and I put them on, and my brother's like, you got high waters on. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, but Jinko was a big brand back then. It was a big
Yes.
thing. Everybody
So
had it.
I have a theory about those really quickly before we get off Gene Talk, and then I'm going to see if you guys have any other questions before we do the wheel. The war on terror killed baggy clothes.
Explain.
Yeah.
I'm not against
yeah.
it, but explain.
Yeah.
We stopped wearing baggy clothes because TSA was fondling us in the airport lines, patting us down all the time because you could fit God knows. If you thought what's his face was able to hide a bomb in his shoe, imagine what you could hide in a pair of Jeancos. Like
The factory.
the government was not going to let that happen anymore. So they told Friends, hey, have the people on Friends start wearing skinny pants and skinny clothes, and we need to get the population wearing skinny stuff so that we can better monitor the kind of shit that's getting brought onto airplanes. That's my most tinfoil hat theory that I think I have. The war on terror
So
killed
the
baggy
Patriot
clothes.
Act killed baggy clothes.
Yep.
except
Really,
See, I always blamed emo for it.
except
Brady, tell me why I'm
Jared
wrong.
brings up a valid point. That's a valid point. Emo, and also Steve, I think we just look back on it in the mid 2000s like this is not working. This is not. I think
We made
just
choices in high school.
collectively.
Not all of them
But
were good.
Jared
Let's just
brings
be
up a
clear.
good point about emo. Emo is probably a lot to do with it.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you know,
Emo-
like
So
Go ahead,
Detective's
Brady.
going to join us here soon. Brady, I'll let you butt in here in just a second. Detective's going to join us soon here soon before we spin the wheel. So I wanted to check. Did anyone have any questions or anything they actually wanted to bring to the table this evening? Here as we can do a little bit of caller school if you want, as far as asking some questions. But Brady, you had something on your mind. What did you want to say?
Oh,
yeah, I just want to say like baggy clothes pulled Michael Jordan in '96. He said, "I'm back." Baggy clothes are back in a big way right now.
Right,
And
because
I mean, it makes sense because my generation tried to bring back 80s fashion. So it's just moving down the line.
Brady, the surveillance state had 25 years to catch up. So we're good now. Like we're carrying iPhones in our pockets and everything now, so it doesn't matter how many layers of baggy pants. Like, you know, RFK knows where you are no matter what, whenever he needs to know it. So it doesn't matter what you wear.
Well, he's
Jared,
swimming in
I
shit
want
creek.
to tell you, there was a time, and I don't know if you remember this. I'm not sure when you was born, but from 95 to 2000, there was a time when we tried to bring back bell bottoms. Mainly, most of
Yep,
the hippie chicks.
that was the
They
thing.
tried to bring it back. They tried to bring it back. It worked
Low,
for a little while.
low rise
Yeah,
bell bottoms.
low rise. Yeah, low rise.
low-rise bell bottoms.
Yep.
Show
Oh
the
yeah,
hip.
Christina
Yeah.
Aguilera, Britney
Oh, yeah.
Spears, the whole lot of them.
Shakira. Anyway, sorry.
Oh god,
I,
Shakira.
My
I remember
wife,
that
my
video.
wife actually really likes to wear kind of flared out jeans. She prefers them.
They have
they're
also
in
made
right now.
they've also made a comeback. But
What's
the
what's
They have.
everybody's cut of jean choice today? What do we? Because I rock the boot cut,
Yeah, I like a boot cut.
Regular.
a regular.
What?
Steve's looks judgy. I don't like this.
I'm not judging. I think I'm a straight cut or a boot cut. I wear like I lean tighter than looser. That's just my style that I like better.
Yeah, work jeans like a straight or a regular.
To
Why
be
do I
clear-
see Brady in skinny jeans?
Let me be clear
yeah.
also too. I don't think I've worn jeans in like since COVID. So I'm also just not a jean guy. So that's just.
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve. I haven't worn shorts since I was a teenager.
That's ridiculous.
I'm not a shorts guy. I'm not
That's
a shorts
ridiculous.
guy.
You live in
Let the-
Tennessee. You
Let the
psychopath.
calves breathe.
I know. I will deal with the heat and show my bad leg. Okay?
I
would rather
You know,
don't
I'm
understand that
kind
at
of
all.
with you.
I don't understand that at all.
Ugh.
I rarely wear shorts. I'm
Sure.
with you, Cal.
Well,
Hey,
to
I've got a
address-
fully tattooed leg here that show off.
Right, exactly. You paid for that. You need to get your money's
I-
worth. I hear you.
That's valid.
Right? Tattoos
I
are
hear
not
you.
tattoos are
To-
not cheap for almost no reason. Almost.
To
Oh,
address,
you want to show you wear shorts to show off your tattoo? Like you got like a calf.
Well,
tattoo?
and my autism demands that I. It's why the joke is, I'm usually always shirtless because I have an aversion to things touching me. So I like baggy. I like shorts. I don't need shirts on all the time. Just get away from me.
It feels restricting. I get it.
It
Well, I
does.
don't have anything against people that wear shorts. I'm just not a shorts guy. If you see me in shorts, I'll be swimming, which is a very rare case nowadays anyway. But no, shorts are very useful. Already, in the summer, you got your arms are exposed. You got mosquitoes, bugs, what have you. Now you got your legs exposed. So that's double the exposure for insects and that type of nature. And I don't like that. And also, I don't know. I feel like if I was like very fit, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Which I do feel that I'm fit for my.
I was gonna say, you skinny prick. Look at you.
Yeah, I know, but for my height and my weight, I'm fairly fit for what I'm at. But if I was bigger, I would wear shorts. But I don't know. It's just a body preference.
Cal,
Yeah.
let me put it gently to you. Save some
What's
bitches for the rest of us.
Whatever, man. Whatever. I do okay, but not as great as I'd like to. But it's okay.
All right, now we're getting off the rails.
But-
McCarcel, you need to get in here so we can spin the damn wheel.
Yeah.
All right. Did anyone have any questions this evening? Hold on. I'm going to mute my microphone just really quick so that I don't aggressively hit YouTube with a giant
Well, I
can
did have
opening
a
sound.
question.
There we go. Okay, what's up?
I
love
also
that
had
sound. That's such a good sound.
Okay,
We
so
all
Ethan,
got questions.
Ethan and Cal
Go ahead,
have
Ethan.
questions. All right, Ethan, go ahead.
I had a topic of discussion. Yeah.
Okay, please bring it to the
Not
floor.
not too long ago, just this evening, like within like the last hour, hour and a half or so, it looks like it was announced that Denis Villeneuve will be directing the first James Bond movie out the gate under Amazon MGM. What do we have any thoughts on this?
Yes,
He's not English.
well, that's a thought. I didn't even think about
Sorry,
it. Well,
I missed that. What
not,
did you say?
he's not going to be James Bond.
No. The directors usually
No,
always
I know. I
Yeah.
thought we were doing a thing there, Jared. Sorry. No.
Oh,
sorry.
Well, we already had an American direct, so
Right.
we're just already pairing crossed.
I think it's exciting. I think I'm interested to see what the response is going to be for like regular movie going folks versus people that are like hardcore Bond people. I don't know that I necessarily know any hardcore Bond people, but they're out there for sure.
You're talking with one.
Okay, well then I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'm going to give my super ignorant take first. Then you're going to educate the masses. Does that sound like a plan? I agree with LQ that I thought it was I was surprised as well. But I think it's like an exciting surprise. I'm a sucker for names, so I'm good if you put a name like James Bond with a name like Villeneuve. I'm bad with pronouncing stuff too, even though I worked in radio.
It doesn't.
I tried, and I was polite about it. That was like it was like a pleasant surprise kind of thing. So Ethan, what did you think? Was your initial reaction good, bad, or sideways?
I'm very excited about it. So obviously he has gotten a lot of cachet and everything right now because of Dune, but he did Sicario and everything.
Did Arrival too?
Long back,
Mm-hmm.
he did Arrival as well, and Arrival is an amazing movie.
Great movie.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful movie.
But I feel like more of the Sicario end will be really good at this point. Going into a Bond movie. I also think he will probably bring along Roger Deakins with him for cinematographer.
Ooh.
And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Roger Deakins did Skyfall, I think, if I remember right, and that's a really great looking Bond movie. So I'm excited about that potential. And I'm a little wary about the higher ups that they've chosen for Amazon is brought on to produce. Amy Pascal from Sony is involved in these. She's now with MGM. She was the one that was on all the Spider-Man movies and all of that.
Okay.
Some of those were great. Some of those had some things. But then they also have, I think it's David Heyman, who was a producer on all the Harry Potter movies and a bunch of other stuff as well.
Yeah. So we're gonna get a fresh
and he's
new take on Bond, is what it sounds like.
Yeah. Yes. The family that has been producing the Bond movies since the very beginning, the Broccoli family, is that's their name, the Broccoli's. They have been in charge of Bond since like the very beginning, since Dr. No.
Oh wait, really?
Yes. It's been in the rights have been in the family for that whole time.
So did they sell, or are they still involved?
They are not involved
Yeah, that's why it
anymore.
was a
They
huge
sold.
deal. Okay.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So they did 50 plus years, 20 plus movies, and now it is in completely new hands. So what we are going to see is going to be, a completely
Now,
fresh
who do you want
take,
your
I
new
would
Bond to
think.
be, Ethan?
That's the big question. So we have the director. So now who is
Oh,
Bond?
gracious.
So we're gonna rapid fire this, Ethan. You need to give me one name Actually, we're gonna make Ethan go last because he seems like the one that's the most informed or most passionate about this. I'm gonna have Jared, Cal, and Brady give me who they want to be their next Bond, and then Ethan's gonna tell us who it's really gonna be. Jared, go first. Who do you want to be Bond?
I'm looking up how to pronounce his name, right? Oh my god, he was in James Gunn's Suicide Squad, as Bloodsport. Idris Elba. I was like,
yeah,
how do
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba.
I'm
Got
not
it.
good with names,
That's okay.
but yes, I
That's
think
okay.
he would be a great Bond.
Okay. All right. Cal.
Yeah, I've been saying Idris Elba ever since it was speculated on the internet. I would love Idris Elba. That dude has got class. If you ever watched Luther, he's a good actor, and he's British, and he could be
Mhm.
a British black Bond. I mean, it's just very cut and dry. It's right there.
Yeah.
I think he's old
Mhm.
enough.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He might not be able to sustain a long career as Bond, but neither did Daniel Craig, neither
Right.
did Pierce Brosnan. He can do 3 or 4 movies as Bond just to give us a black Bond, and I think he'd be perfect for it. And
To give us some black
I'm glad to know that Jared feels the same way.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, he's
thank
got
you for.
the
Go ahead.
the gravitas of it.
Yes, I totally agree, and he's a hell of an actor. Cal, thank you for at least expanding on that answer, even though you gave the exact same answer as Jared. Ethan, tell me you're going to go outside the box, or not Ethan, Brady. Tell me you're going outside the box. Just
While
say
we're on
someone other than Elba.
Yeah, while we're on like Black British dudes, I think whoever played Taka in the Mufasa movie, or whoever played Mufasa himself.
Wow, James Earl Jones is
In the Mufasa movie.
Yeah, what's his name? Aaron Pierre? I think he's a British dude.
Yeah, the guy from Rebel Ridge.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Okay.
I think I've never seen that one. But yeah.
The Mufasa movie from 2024.
Yeah, the one that came back last year. He has like a really
What character are you looking for?
he plays
Mufasa himself. Aaron Pierre.
Aaron
was
I
Aaron.
think he was in a movie called Rebel Ridge. It got a lot of heat for a while.
That's the gentleman who played
That's the
Mufasa.
professional kind of research you get
Yeah,
on the
Aaron
Backstage,
Pierre, yeah.
folks. LQ makes an interesting point of contention. She says Idris is terrific, but he's too old now. So I want to
How
hear when
old is he?
When we're gonna get to it. I'm just priming you. We're doing a tease. I want to let Ethan give us his answer here in a minute. And I'm gonna bring on Detective McCarr, so he's gonna give us his Bond out of nowhere, just totally out of left field. And then we're gonna go to Ethan, and Ethan's gonna tell us who actually should be and is gonna be Bond. So Detective McCarr, welcome to the show. Don't worry, you're not actually on camera. Me and the folks in the call can see you, but the stream can't. We're talking Bond, and
I just got out the shower, man.
Yeah, you just got out of the shower, so you're gonna tell us just zero context who's gonna be the next James Bond.
Okay, sounds like y'all are. Are we specifically asking a black James Bond?
No,
just anyone.
No, we're not specifically.
No, me and Cal
just
agreed.
Yeah,
That's
they just
fair.
agreed that Idris Elba was a good pick.
My mind, yeah, he's been the pick, but I do agree he's a little old. But also, hey, black don't crack. Mahershala Ali is kind of up there. He's only a year younger than Idris Elba, but I think he does kind of. He's 51.
I would not have had that.
But he reads a good bit younger.
Yeah.
So I would say him.
Easy. Okay.
I know Aaron Taylor Johnson's also kind of the basic bitch choice right now, but like if we're going for a younger Bond, he's only like 35. He looks fucking great. Like he'd be the hottest James Bond.
Yeah. I think the other basic bitch one would be Cavill, but I think even that's been kind of like ruled out.
Oh,
I think
Cavill,
I love Cavill.
Whoa! Settle down, everyone. Settle down. Settle down. Settle down. Settle. Guys, I get hot and bothered when I talk about Henry Cavill too. I get it, but let's take it one at a time. Let's take it one at a time. Cal, go ahead. You have thoughts.
Cavill tried his Bond audition in The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
I like that movie.
Nobody liked it. I liked the movie myself too. But nobody liked it. Nobody really got on board with him.
That movie was awesome.
I like that movie.
It's a well-liked movie, but it's not well. It's well-liked, not well seen.
It's Guy Ritchie, right?
Yeah.
Also,
that was an audition for Bond to me.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think that's a pretty.
Another one that just popped into my head since we were thinking of younger people: Michael B. Jordan. Watching everything I watch him in is amazing, and I saw
Yeah.
Sinners when it first came out, and his acting in Sinners is just
I like that.
suave
He plays
that
two
suave that
different
man puts
roles.
on.
Here's the thing about Michael B. Jordan that would, to me, it's almost like if, and this is a horrible comparison, but it's like he's almost too famous. It's how I struggle to see Ethan Hunt and Tom Cruise because I just see Tom Cruise sometimes. Like, I feel like I would see Michael B. Jordan in that role because he looks like a superhero too. Like, he's super jacked and athletic and everything, and someone's dog is just going crazy right now.
Yeah.
That's the thing that with Michael B. Jordan's almost like too pretty from the standpoint of like, is this guy actually a spy for MI6 or is he like a GQ perfume model? Like I don't. It's
Bond has always been pretty. What are
I
you
know
talking
that's true. That's
Bond,
true.
he's a ladies man.
But he was
What are you
older
talking-
too. Like he had a little bit of the salt and pepper kind of like look to him, not the young sexy that Michael B. Jordan is. I guess that's where I'm coming from. I think Michael B. Jordan as being too new hotness, not old and busted.
So you're saying Sean Connery's old and busted, and
Yes.
Michael B. is a brand new hot.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying.
What everybody is? I don't know. I can't speak for everybody. I'm
Sean
not saying
Connery at
he's-
30 probably looked like Michael Cera would at 75.
I wouldn't go that far.
I don't
But
know,
yeah.
man. Like 30
I
was
was gonna say,
rough
yeah,
30 years ago
sure.
on some of these actors between the
And
cigarettes and no suntan lotion. Like, come on now.
Dr. No and the early Bond movies would be Sean Connery around 30-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have been only in his like late 30s at most. But like, I do agree. Michael B has he has the confidence and the charisma that you want from Bond. Exactly, L. Henry Cavill, I love him. He's awesome, and for Man and from Uncle, he's great for that role. But for Bond, he's too big. Even if he slims down, he's still very tall. Like,
I agree.
I don't think someone that's like 6'2", 6'3". And
Listen,
again,
I
a
don't
lot
want
of
anyone
movie making-
to distract Henry Cavill from supposedly making a Voltron movie, because that's the thing that I read that he said that he's doing soon, between that and Warhammer and everything. So I
where's his
really want
Warhammer
that
movie?
Voltron movie to
I thought he
happen.
was
So
doing.
please give
I
me
thought he was doing
Voltron.
Highlander.
He's also doing Highlander. That's there too. Those are the two
Yeah,
things that are like.
Yes.
Yes, Highlanders. I'm very excited for Highlander. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I'm a basic bitch for Henry Cavill. There's no.
Wait,
no
That's
no
okay.
question about it.
I
Loved
love
him
how
since the
people don't
Tudors.
realize what a nerd he is.
Oh yeah, huge nerd.
I feel
Yeah.
like enough people do.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge
I feel
nerd.
like
The
that's
whole WoW
become
story about
common
getting
knowledge now.
Superman, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Huge nerd.
Did y'all know that Henry Cavill was the original choice before Daniel Craig?
Yes, he
was?
was very
I
close.
remember.
Yeah. Like the only
He was
thing that held him
very
back
close.
was that he was too young. Then.
It was
I think
he would
was,
have
like,
he would have been
24.
very young at the time.
Yeah.
yeah, that was like right. He was probably like wrapping up the Tudors like when Casino Royale came out.
Yeah, he was like 24.
he was
so
really
that
young.
was-
How do we
Yeah,
feel
he's
about one of the
babyface.
Skarsgårds going for it, like a bill or something? 'Cause
Is
they,
Is
I
Bill
feel like
the one
they've
that
got
was
the
in
chops.
True Blood?
He was
I've seen-
Pennywise, Nosferatu, John Wick 4, Barbarian.
I haven't seen a
Gives
single one of those
more
movies.
smarmy than confident. Like he's.
I want to say.
I think he'd be
that-
good for a villain.
Okay, hold on. We
Yeah,
before we
great
start
Bond.
theorizing, we have to let Ethan give us what as the resident Bond
Yes.
enthusiast and expert. Tell us what the right answer is, Ethan.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I have the right answer, but it's my answer.
Play the bit, Ethan. It's fine.
Okay, so, well, first of all, the comment just on Idris, I think he would be fantastic as a James Bond. I do believe that at this point he's a little older than what they are going to be looking for, and which is unfortunate because I think he actually could do a very good job. Now, as far as casting for Bond, I don't personally have any issues with a black Bond, or honestly, at this point, I feel like the makeup of the United Kingdom and Great Britain, there's a large Indian population as well. There's a possibility there, potentially even.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm open to some creative choices, I guess, in that direction.
So
if
you're
they
voting
wanted to
for
do it.
fresh blood. You're hoping for some new kind of show us someone who we haven't seen before. let this kind of make
Yes.
someone's career to be the new Bond. I like that.
Yeah. If this
I like
was,
that.
if we were having this conversation like 10-ish years, like, 5 to 10 years ago at this point, I was all over wanting Michael Fassbender Bond.
See,
That's a
Um,
good choice.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, there's this particular scene in X-Men First Class that
I know where you're
when I
going.
saw it, I was like, that is the most James Bond thing ever. He's in he's in Argentina.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I remember. I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about. Yep.
and he's
Yep.
at a bar and he's Nazi
Yeah,
hunting. That
Yep.
scene
Yep.
was so James Bond coded to me
Yeah.
that I saw it and I was like, dude, yes,
Yeah, totally agree.
please. But I think at this point he's probably aged out of it as well.
Here's a funny what if, because I
Okay.
know they won't do this, but we've all agreed that James Bond's always been the hotness. What if they were like, no, our James Bond is going to be the average dude, the one that can truly slip in and out.
Yeah.
He's got a little bit of a dad bod, his beard is a little shraggy here. How would we feel about that? Really? I've never read any of the books.
He would have to still kick ass though. Like he could have like maybe a pudge, maybe not a pot belly, but like you, cause you said dad bod, maybe a little bulge on him, but he can still kick ass.
So you're thinking
So-
like out of shape Ben Affleck.
Or even like,
Well,
I
would like to point you guys to
go for it.
I would like to point you guys to Pierce Brosnan and Die Another Day.
Okay.
There's in that opening scene, like just after the title credits, he walks into that hotel and he's supposed to have been like starved in Vietnam for however long, but he certainly does not look it.
Look, the bar for the action movie male. I mean,
Yeah,
I-
the
I'm
body
not gonna
change, transformed.
equate things because, like, obviously more is expected of women. But I was rewatching the X-Men movies a few years back, and it dawned on me
Yep.
I am at the time and now in better shape than Hugh Jackman was in the first X-Men movie.
Right.
I will not be modest about that one. I am in better shape than him. Now, don't get me wrong. As those movies went on, I could never reach the shape he's in,
Right.
like
Absolutely not.
the X-Men Origins or the Wolverine. Like, he is so fucking jacked by the end of his run, and even now. And I know they've got him pumped up on probably a lot of stuff. I'm not going to accuse him of being on steroids, but
It's
they
that
got
water
him on,
At least some
thing that
creatine.
they've got him on a hell of a routine.
Right. Yeah, no, there
Okay,
was
That's not attainable
sidebar.
by a normal person.
Thor's workout was a thing in college.
Bruh.
Like the Chris Hemsworth Thor workout was a thing that got circulated around college when I was in school, and it was just like, this is the thing that Chris Hemsworth did to like bulk up for the Thor movie, and this was 2009, 2010 or whatever it was, and it was totally ridiculous, and even that got outpaced 5 years later by Chris Pratt in Guardians of the Galaxy and
Dude,
Hemsworth
the
himself
way-
in the next Thor movie. Like, it just keeps going. Like,
Oh, they all kept one up in each other.
yeah, exactly. It's
The
insane.
way
You know who
Hemsworth
actually never
looks
get-
in Thor 4 is Hemsworth in Thor 4 is unreasonable.
Right.
Like,
Oh yeah.
like
You know who never
beyond-
gave us that perfect shirtless shot was Downey Jr.
No, because he
Iron
didn't,
Man
he
was-
didn't have it, man. He
I
had
mean, he was
there's the dad
shirtless.
bod. Yeah, he has.
He
that's
was
what
never
the-
shirtless.
That's what the
He was
what
when
the
he
thing
was
is
a
for.
couple times because of especially in the first movie
had
when
a
he's
tank
working
top.
on the arc reactor. He's
Oh
shirtless.
yeah, he
had-
does.
there
Yeah,
were
yeah,
tank
he has a
tops
tank top a
before him.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has a tank
No,
top
there's
a lot.
definitely a couple. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. It's been a while.
No,
since I
there's
watched
the
Iron Man.
there's
1
the
and 2.
moment
Cal,
He's
you're
definitely shirtless
more
at one
muted than
point.
you can imagine, and I didn't do it to you.
there's the moment where Pepper is helping him replace the arc
Yes.
reactor, and he's
Thought so.
he is shirtless
No.
there.
But that's
I'm
a rubber
sorry.
body too. That's not even Junior.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
really?
There is a point. There's a point where he's in the cave and he's hammering the arc reactor, making the suit, and he is completely shirtless.
I'm
I
glad.
remember.
Oh,
I mean, he's
I will
wearing a
bring
black
that up.
tank.
He's wearing a tank top.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
is he
definitely in a
wearing
tank
tank
top.
top?
He's in a
Yeah.
tank top.
He
in
is.
that one.
All right.
But when
Crucify.
they're doing the replacement bit, like he's definitely shirtless in a few shots. Not get me wrong, it's not a glory
Yeah.
shot like Cap coming out of the machine.
Right.
So
big shot.
I will say this about that shot though. The behind the scenes for that shot where like she's reaching into him and everything, that's a prosthetic chest. So like he's not actually shirtless.
According to the internet, he's shown shirtless in all 3 Iron Man movies. From a quick Google search here, working in his lab on the arc reactor in 2008 and Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2, there's a scene where he's shirtless in the lab again when he's dealing with the toxicity of the palladium in his arc reactor, and in Iron Man 3, when recovering from injuries and anxiety, he's shown shirtless in some brief moments in his workshop or during surgery scenes.
So during a quick I googled those images. He's shirtless on an operating table in 2 of them. There are no glory shots.
Oh yeah, well we're talking technicalities. Yeah, no. So listen, I'm glad we settled this discussion. I'm gonna table this just like we tabled Trump's impeachment.
That's okay. I have the real answer for our new Bond. It's Sean McKay. He showed up. Sean's our new Bond.
Sean McCabe is gonna be our new Bond. That would be Imagine Bond showing up with that accent. I don't think the fake Russian terrorists would have absolutely no idea what to do. They'd be like, "Wait a minute, you're not MI6. What are you talking about?"
Now wait a minute. If I'm not mistaken, Liam Neeson was suggested at one point.
Yeah, he already did Taken. Yeah, he already did the Taken, and he's old.
Yeah.
Qui-Gon as Bond would be cool though, but not 25 years later.
I was gonna say maybe in 19 or 2000, but
Could Ewan McGregor play Bond?
I was gonna say Ewan as Bond.
I feel like at this point he's too well known, too big of a name. I don't think he could.
I would just say Obi-Wan Kenobi. But yeah, anyway, all right.
I think he could be, but no.
I just threw it. I can't name too many.
I'm with you.
Maybe if I had to, I could name some British actors.
Andrew Garfield.
Like I said, I haven't been in a movie theater since. Actually, I do have news. I haven't been in a movie theater since Barbenheimer. Boys, girls, everyone else, I have an exciting announcement. Producer Steve is going to a movie this Friday in a movie theater for the first time since Barbenheimer. I'm seeing the F1 movie.
Oh,
of course you are.
I'm seeing the F1 movie. I'm very excited.
Let me guess, you're going by yourself?
No, me and my wife are going. My wife loves F1 too. So
okay,
we're having our first date night in like a year. So
hell yeah.
Okay,
the kid.
We got some nieces coming over to watch the baby. So it's all.
How's she doing?
That's like 75% of the battle right there.
I know, right? Yeah, and they're nieces, so that means I get to it's. I mean, I don't have to pay them the same rate as actual labor. So. Here's apparently $20 in a pizza is not the going rate for babysitting anymore. That's what it used to be. Apparently,
it is not.
It's more like $100 in a pizza, which is like damn. But all right, we're going for a movie for 2.5 hours, but whatever. I'm very excited for the F1 movie. I'm not going to IMAX. LQ makes a good question in the comments. Are you going to IMAX? I hear the cinematography is amazing. I am super excited for everything about this movie. I'm a huge F1 head. And I've heard it's not terrible, which is all I was hoping for. My whole wish was like, just don't be corny and bad. Just don't be like totally corny and bad, right? Just be like acceptably okay, and I'll be happy. And that the reviews so far are it's decent enough, so that's good enough for me.
Well, Steve, did you see like Ford versus Ferrari?
I did not see Ford versus Ferrari, but I did see Rush.
That was another thing. Yeah, Rush. That's Rush. Yeah, I like both of those, and I'm not a sports guy in general, but I'm not a race car guy either. But I did like Rush, and I like the Ford versus Ferrari. That's another one about Lamborghini. I haven't watched it, but then let's go back to Talladega. Oh yeah, Talladega Nights, Days of Thunder. I heard they're doing another Days of Thunder. I heard that.
I don't know. I know. So the F1 movie is directed by the guy who did Maverick, Top Gun Maverick. So we're expecting some cool race car shots. We're expecting some cool special effects from that regard. They did, as an F1 head, they did this whole thing last year during the last F1 season, not this year. where there were a few weekends that like where the actual racing structure was not interrupted, but like there was some extra shit thrown on at a few different races throughout the year where they had this team on track filming the car with stunt drivers in the cars, basically like during formation laps of the F1 races, so they could get genuine shots of these cars next to actual F1 cars, and like in a live environment. So that's really cool. Just knowing that like they went to that kind of level of detail. Mercedes worked with Apple to build basically an F2 car that looks like an F1 car, and so that's what they built to make this fictional team that's in the F1 movie. And so it was 75% of an F1 car essentially that they built from the ground up.
A fictional story or something that
it's
happened?
A totally fictional story. It's a fictional team. They're acting as if there's an 11th team on the grid. Currently there's only 10 teams in Formula One. We're actually getting an 11th team next year in Cadillac from the United States, so it's a great time to get into the sport.
Cadillac's coming into F1?
Cadillac will be joining Formula One.
Who are the teams?
So it's a great question. We have a little F1 trivia right now. So the teams in Formula One right now are McLaren is your current world champion out of the UK. Ferrari, that's producer Steve's team. Red Bull, the energy drink company. You have Aston Martin. You have Alpine, which is really Renault car company out of France. You have what's called RB Cash App Visa, which is literally just a sister team for Red Bull. So it's just the Cash App Visa sponsor team. It's Red Bull 2 is essentially what they are. Red Bull puts their junior drivers in that team. It's total bullshit. No one likes it. You have Haas, which is the only current American team in the sport, owned by Gene Haas of NASCAR fame. And you also have Kick Sauber, Stake Kick Sauber. So Kick, the streaming platform, Stake, the gambling platform, they co-sponsor a team called Sauber, which is a traditional F1 team that used to be BMW engines, all that kind of stuff. They're actually becoming Audi, and then 2 years from now, Audi basically bought that team. And so the team that is currently F1 Stake, Kick, Sauber, whatever, they're like a green and black car. Their livery is actually really good, even though the car sucks. That's actually going to become Audi in a couple of years.
Well, Steve, I was going to ask you if Audi was involved. I was going to ask you if Audi was involved.
Audi will be involved starting in the next 2 years. Yep, Audi's starting in the next 2 years, 2028.
So the teams aren't necessarily car specific. Like it's not Ferrari,
Correct.
A Lambo.
Right.
It's just money.
Exactly. So and they also, there's only a few different engine manufacturers in the sport, which is interesting too, right? So McLaren, for example, right? You've heard of a McLaren, like a sports car, like a McLaren light. It's like a Lamborghini. So the McLaren F1 car does not have a McLaren engine in it. It has a Mercedes engine in it. So the McLaren is just the name of the team. McLaren puts up the money for the team, but McLaren, the company itself that sells those fancy sports cars, they don't make nearly enough money to actually fund and develop a Formula One engine and a Formula One works team. It's cheaper for them to buy the engine from Mercedes and then outfit a car around that engine using their own designers and engineers and everything. And so that's actually the case for a lot of teams in the sport. Mercedes gives their engine to McLaren. They give an engine to Aston Martin. Also does not have an Aston Martin engine. Aston Martin uses a Mercedes engine. Ferrari gives their engine to Sauber and to Haas. Red Bull shares their Honda engine. Their engine is made by Honda, and they share that with their sister team. Red Bull is actually doing a cool thing. They're with Honda right now. They're actually moving to Ford, but Ford is just kind of putting their name on the engine. Red Bull is doing this thing where Red Bull, because they've done so well and made so much money, they're creating their own engine program, but they're doing it kind of in concert with Ford. And so Honda, they have their own, like Red Bull is going to have like their own powertrain, and then Alpine, the French team, they have their own engine as well. So yeah, I just got really nerdy on F1 for a minute.
So
but that was fun.
That's okay. So are the engines similar to like, it's like a big ass V12 or something?
So they're actually V6s. They're hybrids. They're 1,000 horsepower hybrid engines.
That's
So
insane.
yeah, they're 1,000 horsepower hybrid engines. They basically run on jet fuel. I think they're essentially hybrid V6s, and they might be like maybe it's a V8. I'm wrong.
The fuck?
But it's a hybrid engine.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing with Cadillac. I know Cadillac prides itself on V8.
Yeah, it's a V6.
No, they're going to
They're
come
V6s.
in.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
They're
not sure. I don't know anything about the world of racing.
No, it's
but
so.
I stand behind Cadillac and I stand behind Audi. It isn't with McFarlane's the brand that all
McLaren.
the influence for wrecking McLaren. So all the ones that were wrecking and shit like that.
Well, they all
Have you
wreck
seen
all the
those?
time. They all wreck fairly often because they're going
But that was
230 miles an hour.
User error.
But yeah, but I mean, but the sport is interesting because it's you can be a half a second behind someone, and that's like, holy shit, you're so much slower than they are, right? So that's where stuff gets really interesting because the nerdiness of it is, it gets really, really technical. It gets really, really close in the margins. But yeah, we're talking 1,000 horsepower V6 engines. They literally have a go fast button. So the hybrid engine aspect of it is they're partly battery powered, and the battery part of the hybrid engine is essentially like a boost button that they can use, that if they need to go faster,
Like nitro.
they can hit a button like nitro. Yeah, they can hit a button to go faster, but it depletes very, very fast. And in order to recharge that battery, it recharges on essentially like building up kinetic energy from when the car is going really, really fast in a straight and then slows
Like
down
an
really
alternator.
fast. That's exactly. So yeah, exactly, Jared. So then it recharges the hybrid battery for when they can kind of use that overtake button. And then the other neat
So
little trick they
basically,
have
they all
is,
have a BB-8 in the back.
exactly, they really do. It's like go faster, and it goes, and it'll tell you if it's out of juice. And then they also can open up their rear wing occasionally on certain parts of the track in certain conditions. You can open the rear wing of the car, and that'll make it go anywhere from 10 to 15 miles an hour faster down the straight. But you can only do that if you're within a second of the car ahead of you. So that's how they kind of balance some of the competitiveness to make it so that you're more inclined to stay close to each other. If you stay close to each other for longer, you have a better chance of passing.
I was gonna say, so like, just car racing to me is one of the, I don't watch it, but it is fascinating to be like, when do you decide to pat? Like, because they're just on each other's asses constantly, and I know it's drafting, but I don't know, man. Just the idea of it is funny to me.
Formula One
Because it's like-
is interesting in that because they're all road courses, they're not ovals like you see in NASCAR or like a lot of IndyCar
Yeah.
races. So that the drafting element plays differently. There's dirty air and stuff like that from if you're behind a car for a long amount of time that's shooting out exhaust and everything, that air is not as clear and clean as what if you were in the front, so that affects your aerodynamics and all that kind of jazz. It also, your car runs hotter if you're following a car because, again, you're not in that clean air. Clean air cools your car down faster than dirty air does, all that kind of stuff. So there's all sorts of little intricacy kind of things, but that's what makes the sport fun, from just aside from who wins, is you can still have a lot of fun watching who comes between 10th, 11th, and 12th based on the margins and the stories and all that kind of stuff. So that's why it's a lot of fun, because there's drama, and you, even if you watch the sport and you only follow one team, I still could tell you every driver and every team principal and all that kind of stuff, because it's such a small little knit community, and they all interact with each other so often. So I just got so nerdy on F1 racing. That was so much fun.
you did.
I appreciate you guys letting me do that.
Did, but
That's okay.
thought
Just
that was
special
fantastic.
interest, and we let you do it.
Yeah.
but
I'm going to the movie for the first time in 2 years, you guys. Like,
Yeah,
it's so
we want you to
exciting.
be excited.
I haven't been to a
Steve.
movie since my daughter
That's a
was
big
born.
deal, man.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
very excited.
I'm gonna bow out, gentlemen.
Okay, yeah, we're
This has
gonna.
been fun.
I appreciate you, Ethan. We're gonna get to the wheel if anyone wants to stick around for the wheel, and then we're gonna wind things down. So Ethan, thank you for joining us. Thank you for hanging
Wind
out.
things down. We got 2 more hours to go.
We're not
Steve.
doing a 4-hour stream.
Yeah,
It's not happening.
20 minutes.
Ethan. But no, Steve, you made me forget what I was going to ask you.
Have a nice night. man.
Take care, Ethan.
I was Steve.
Have a good
Sorry
day.
about that. Didn't want to disturb Ethan's exit, but
You're okay.
and that was a question I was going to ask you about Formula One. I can't remember it. Anyway, move on.
Well,
I might
They're
be
all
right.
really good looking too. Let me not ever let that go without said. It's the best looking sport in the world. Good night,
Let's
LQ.
go
Thanks for
down
hanging
the
out with us.
street
Good night, Elker.
But as a fingers crossed future electrical engineer, holy shit, that is the we're getting there, gang. But the regenerative braking system that you were just describing, I would love to just tinker with that. Just
Isn't it
pull
cool?
apart.
Dude,
I would love to pull that apart and see how it works.
such a
Holy
cool
shit.
such a cool sport. Yeah, there's a lot of, and it's super nerdy too. So the community around it is exactly like what I've noticed, especially from being on the different social media communities and everything, is a lot of the people who are into it are engineers or mechanics or people who work something adjacent to
My dad,
where they're at, because they
big
love
gear
how
guy.
much it is. Yeah.
How long do those tires last?
Not long at
That's
all.
kind of
Not long at all. Go ahead, Cal.
That's kind of what I was. That's kind of what I was talking. What I was going to talk about was that. But the movies that I've seen, because like I said, I'm not I think it was Ford v Ferrari that made me interested in it more so, was that the mechanics behind it, like they were trying to build the best engine to go fast and all this different stuff like that.
Yeah.
That stuff was what got me in. And I'm not into F1, just so you know, but I'm just saying. But that's what got me into the film.
Right.
Was that they were trying to innovate and do different things to make it better. You know, I mean, I thought that was cool about it. But
that's one of the fun things about watching the sport year to year is seeing the development races happen, because you could have a team that's totally dominant for 2 or 3 years, and then halfway through a season, another team catches up to them, and the paradigm totally flips, and all of a sudden, the team that was favored is now on the back foot, and they have to try to catch up. So it's really fun to watch these cars react, not only in the different circuits that they go to, because every racetrack has different characteristics. You tune the car to be, to that track every week, but they, there's so much different like strategy elements to it. Like they have practice sessions and then they qualify, but once you qualify, you can't touch the car. Like you can't change anything about the car, essentially about the quote unquote setup of the car. You can put the tires on and off and stuff like that. You can do very, very minor things, but they use the 3 practice sessions every weekend to kind of fine tune like, okay, what should we do to the car? How should we set up the car? And then by qualifying, you have to, it's like writing in pen, like, okay, this is the car we're putting in the race. And then between qualifying and the race, hands off. And so that's, again, it adds to the drama. Like I actually enjoy watching qualifying almost just as much as the race half the time, because it's, first of all, it's only an hour, so you can get in and out. And as a spoiled Ferrari fan, usually my team gets through to at least Q2 or Q1, like the second half of it, so I don't have to worry about them getting knocked out early. But anyway, yes.
So,
no,
like any sport, Steve, is there a dark side to F1?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So they're totally in bed with Saudi blood money. They're 110%. Oh, yeah.
Right for it.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Let's not pretend that they're not. Like the head of the FIA is a Saudi prince. They have multiple races in the Middle East every year, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. There are a lot of they had 2 years ago, I think it was, there was a missile strike on like an oil refinery from like some Yemeni rebels, I think it was, before the Saudi race. And you could literally see like the smoke in the background during one of the practice sessions because because again, it's just the track's like in a desert and they're doing like an aerial shot and it was very far away. But they didn't do anything to the race schedule that weekend, even though there was literally like a terrorist attack, or not a terrorist attack of some kind, nearby in the desert, and by like on like an oil refinery that you could like see from the track. So it was wild. So yeah, no, blood on their hands for sure. Dirty elements. We're talking billionaires. It's icky. Don't get me wrong. This is my dirty. F1 is my dirty hobby. Like it is. 100%
like I said, every
my
sport
guilty,
has it.
Yeah, it's my guilty pleasure for sure. As much of a bleeding heart as I am, I totally understand this is a blind spot for me, and we all have them. So
I mean, I love hockey. We've got Ovechkin.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started on Ovechkin. I don't want to do that today. We're almost done.
Steve, I would like you, if at all possible, Steve, I would like to be informed on what Cadillac is doing in the F1 space. Because I'm never going to watch it. I'm never going to watch it, but I want to know, because Cadillac is my brand. It was one of my very first cars. Is Cadillac.
Yeah. Well, people are very excited for them to join the sport because they're going to be an 11th team. So it's cool that they're not just buying a team, like they're going to be a new one. So that's very exciting. But right now the drama is like who they're going to sign for drivers. So that's kind of the next thing. We're kind of gearing up to see who they're going to sign for drivers. There's like some semi-official things there yet. I believe they're buying Ferrari engines for the first couple years. I could be wrong on that, but I think they're going to be Cadillacs with Ferrari engines on that. I'm going to look that up as soon as we're done and feel shitty for having that wrong. But anyway, it's either Ferrari or maybe Mercedes, but they're going to be a customer at first. And then I think after 2028, Audi will be using their own engines in their race cars, which is really, really cool. So the thing with Formula One is every few years, 4, 6, 8 years, they have what's called regulation changes to keep the sport fresh. So essentially, the cars that we're driving this weekend and where are we this week? I forgot. There's a race going on this week. I'm not remembering. Oh, Austria. They're in Austria this week. This car is essentially the same car, quote unquote, as far as like the rules that it has to live up to since 2022. Or no, I'm sorry, 2024. 2024. Last year we introduced new cars, and these cars, or no, it was 2022. These cars will be the same through 2020. through 2026. So next year is the last year on before like we're seeing a totally new car in 2026 as far as like the engine numbers and all the shit that they can make for it. So they refresh it every few years. They refresh it every few years, so it's not like the same thing over and over again. But also they do it that way so that one team doesn't just get infinitely better than someone forever and ever, and they can never get taken back. They do the regulation reset so that it kind of is like a refresh of who's good and who's not, even though typically it comes down to who has money. But yeah. Anyway. All right, I promise I'm done with F1 talk. I appreciate
they would do. No, fuck the wheel. We're on this.
All right. So okay, we're on this. So an example of a refresh would be like from when they did the 2022 car, which was the most recent new update. They put like little wheel covers over the side of it. The engines themselves are a little bit different. They're trying to make the cars a little shorter because the cars got really, really long over the last few years, which makes them difficult to go around some of these smaller road tracks. So they're trying to get the cars to be a little bit smaller while keeping them safe. The thing about making the cars bigger has been as the cars have gotten bigger, they've gotten safer. So that's where like the kind of the challenge is there. So they want to make them smaller. The drivers want them to be smaller. They're making them more sustainable. Every generation, especially with the hybrid era, has added basically they're leaning more on the hybrid side and taking away from the combustion side from asking that much of the engine. So they're trying to Formula One's doing this whole initiative where they're trying to go net zero on carbon emissions by 2030. And so the next generation of Formula One car, not the one that's coming out next year, but the one down the road after the 2030s, they're trying to come up with a completely like net zero emission car, essentially. Well, I don't know how the hell that's going to work, but they already have Formula E. That's its own thing. Like there's already electric race cars. They sound like golf carts. It's ridiculous. Cal,
Steve, that will take I'm all for EV, but what I'm saying, won't that take away a lot of the power? I mean, can you recreate that power with the electric motor?
You can't recreate it. You can supplement it. These cars are, don't get me wrong, the cars we have now that are these hybrid cars, these are the fastest the cars have ever been. Like they're setting track records left and right the last few years. The drivers are also better than they've ever been too. Don't get me wrong. Like it's just like any other sport where the athletes are just better, faster, stronger, all that. But the cars are like the electrics. There is like an argument there, and even a lot of the teams are arguing like we want to bring back V10s and V12s because it just sounded better and it was just better for the the fans and the experience and blah 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 blah. But they were also just easier to engineer than these V6s that are hybrids that are also practically computers too, right? Like so there's just two different kind of philosophies on it. But the thing that they don't want to do is go fully electric and take the sound away. That's like literally one of their concerns, is because Formula E is its own category. Like there are people in Formula E that in Formula One teams that have Formula E teams, but the Formula E races are just not there yet from an excitement and a viewership standpoint. And as funny as it sounds, a big part of that is literally because they just don't have the sound. But EVs can go fast as shit. Like those things can accelerate so fast. So it's wild, but they sound like golf carts.
it's almost like it's a bad propaganda thing, but people really underestimate how powerful a battery is over a combustion engine. Like, when you drive by a construction site and you see those giant things or big ass tractors on a farm, that's not gas. Those are all batteries.
Right.
Every single one of them is a battery operated. Like batteries are fucking ridiculous, but it's, as Steve just brought out, it's, well, I need my car to go wheel, and just oil has just told us, and the oil companies battery. Your car, it was proven like 30 years ago. Your car can run on water. Water.
They won't make that.
Exactly.
It's not.
Gas is not the best thing.
Water, it's that it's not as efficient. It's the energy density of the material. So yes, you could run on water. You would need a ridiculous amount of water and a very different kind of engine to do it.
Right.
You could also run it on fryer oil.
I've seen that. I've seen the French fry oil engine. I'm way too dumb for this conversation, but I can very easily answer this question from Camster, where he said, how do you pick a team in Formula One? I'm showing this on chat. It's a little further up if you're on live. But I picked the team because my mommy's Italian, and she talked to me about Ferrari a little bit, like growing up, and I like red race cars. So that's how I landed on Ferrari.
Pretty sure my little sister initially picked her, probably just picked whichever driver she thought was hottest because she just straight up told me, like, yeah, those drivers are hot, and that's why I watch. So
That's what got my wife hooked. It makes it easy to watch.
Huge. My dad in another life would have been a mechanic, but he works in the plants and he's a supervisor and shit. But like, my dad legitimately used to build race car engines for local drivers as a hobby. So he probably has a much more, I guess, nuanced way of decision picking because he watches it too.
Right.
But like, I mean, he hasn't built an actual engine for anybody in probably 20 years now. But I mean, he. My earliest memories of him are in the garage tinkering. Like I grew up in his buddy's race car garage. Like
that's awesome. Yeah, no, that's really cool. I think it's an interesting conversation in the sport going forward, like how they're balancing that. But they sound really fucking cool. So I don't want them. I do like the sound. Like it sounds really like the older cars, especially, man. Like the V10 era sounds so much better. Like those, you go listen to an F1 race from the early 2000s to the late 90s. That just growl is just something else, man. I totally get it where they talk about how girls love to hear an engine purr and all that. Go ahead, Cal.
I want to ask you a question,
please.
Because if I'm not mistaken, you live in Virginia, right?
I do.
Okay, so you should be familiar, as I am, in Tennessee with people rolling coal in these trucks.
All too much.
Yes, it does sound cool, but they leave this huge black cloud behind them, and if you're behind them, if your windows are down, you're choking. But anyway, it's also bad for the environment, and I can get why they would want to do EV engines and stuff. But yeah, the rolling coal thing, it does sound cool. I like the sound of it, but I don't like the emissions that comes out from it. And I can see them trying to reduce that, which I hope they would. We'll try to do, and I'm sure Addie would love that as well. But it's I mean it's more like a manly thing to me,
right?
To more so than anything else.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's a manly thing. It's a marketing thing. The emission things, especially with Formula One, is it's not so much that the cars are the emissions thing. The emissions problem in Formula One is all the private jets that they fly everywhere, going all gallivanting all over the world every week. It's these massive trailers that they have to ship these paddocks and garages and cars in all across the world everywhere. Like that's the stuff where they're like crushing the environment and stuff. The cars themselves are probably a fraction of the actual footprint. And, all the damn rubber they waste from going through like 10 sets of tires every weekend because the race car tires only last a few laps depending on what compound you're using. So, yeah, it's
like Taylor Swift flying 20 minutes in her jet.
It's my guilty pleasure. I understand it's a blind spot, but
I know. Addie's not here to defend her, but
no, I know. I'm glad we had to talk about I'm glad we had this talk without Addie here because
Sorry. I just brought her into it because of climate change and what she talks about.
No. I making fun of her for beloved T Swift.
That is understandable.
Oh yeah.
Brian Taylor, welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us. Well, yo. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I mean, Patty Boy, Cameron, Tolly, Laserbolt, everyone who's been hanging out with us this evening. Thank you again, Cal, Jared, Detective McCarcel, Brady, Ethan, Addie, everyone who's called in.
So I love how I got.
But Jared's got something. Go ahead.
Yep, I love how I got fucking everybody in Discord with that fake.
You did. You did.
I didn't even make that. I found that on the internet. I found that posted somewhere else.
The one of the reasons I laughed so hard about that today, Jared, was I actually sent Ken a note. This is a little backstage access. I sent Ken a note today. I was like, hey, I got an idea for a bit. I want to do a media literacy thing. Long story short, 10 minutes not even after I sent that note, I saw your thing on the Discord, and then I was like, what the hell? Warped Tour's back? Blah 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 blah. Reading through it, and I like totally bought it hook, line, and sinker until I saw Hawk to a Girl, and I was like, okay, you have to be fucking with me. Like this can't be real. Like this can't be real.
First of all, Frat was first. They had one song. Please tell me 'cause I'm turning. They had one fucking song. And then Oasis was on there. And I was like, okay, Oasis trying to make a comeback.
Yeah, I bought it.
Yeah, I didn't read the ones in black. I read the headliners. And I was like,
Cal, here's the thing. we've talked about this before. I'm ignorant when it comes to music. I don't know anything about bands, so I would have totally believed half of those names on those lists for the bands. But then I saw Hawk to a Girl, and I was like, that can't be real. And then I immediately was like, but you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if there was some garage band who was named Hawk to a Girl. Like that wouldn't surprise me one bit. Like that, I would totally believe that.
They had great fake band names too. The band listed under Dave Grohl, Notes App Apology.
That sounds like a real band name. I don't know. I listen to Dave Matthews Band. I don't know anything about music.
Apology. I mean, come on.
But the reason why Trapped is number one is they were a one-hit wonder. But the singer also became a giant racist MAGA piece of shit who thinks his band is still like the biggest thing in the world. If you look up where they play shows now, it's like the parking lots of closed J.C. Penney's and shit to like 12 people.
Bro, there's a local place in Baton Rouge called the Texas Club. I'm pretty sure they would play there right now, and it's what you would imagine from a place called the Texas Club. It's fucking awful.
Jared, please tell me. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did Trap sing Headstrong?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was it.
Okay.
That was their big hit.
One-hit wonder.
Very quick story. In the early 2000s, I was going to jail. No, it's not bullshit. In the early 2000s, I was going to jail, and I was in the paddy wagon with a guy, and we were on our way to the jail, and Trap song Headstrong came on, and this dude, okay, I'm in there handcuffed, everything. I'm just like, I'm going to jail. It's over. You know, I'm going to be down for a while. I'll be out. And this guy was pumped up. Trap was on. He's like, Headstrong. He's going to jail, right? He's like, Headstrong to take on anyone. So later on in my stint, in that jail stint, I became a trustee. If you know what a trustee is, I give people food, I clean, I do everything. My sentence is reduced.
Hold on, Cal. Hold on. I need to make a note. We're gonna do it. Can we do like a jailhouse rock interview at some point with Cal? I need to know all about these experiences because I didn't know anything about this.
If you want to.
If you've never been arrested, it's fun. I recommend.
No, I've never been arrested. I had a cop point his service weapon at me, but I've never been arrested. Go ahead, Cal. Sorry, continue.
It's fun.
The story. But yes, Steve, whatever. If you want to do that, fine.
I would love to do that. I'm a journalist at heart.
Well, just hit me up. You know how to get me. Not contact.
No, we'll just do it on another Backstage. We'll do behind the music with
just
Cal.
Let me know.
Right,
but anyway, in Discord or something. But anyway, so this.
God damn it! Now he freezes. You're gonna have to repeat everything you just said, Cal. He froze like 2 or 3 times beforehand, and then he came right back. But now this seems like a big freeze.
The worst internet.
I know. No,
now you're back. You're good. You're solid. Go for it.
You interrupted me. Anyway,
I know that's my fault.
But here's the thing. I want to try not to be at my internet. But here's the thing. That guy that was in there, and when that Trap song came on, Headstrong, he went nuts, right? Like, I'm going to jail. I'm a badass. Whatever. Headstrong, take on anyone. So, like I said, I became a trustee. Trustee, we work in the kitchen, we clean, we give you whatever, and we get a reduced it. So when I was doing that, and I was giving out trays to we went to what's called the PC cell, which is a PC is like it's protection. If you're like a snitch or something like that, you get PC. And he was in the PC cell. In PC cell, this is the second time I seen him after the time in the van that we went to the to the fucking jail. I seen him months later, maybe like 2 months later. I went to give him his food. His jaw was wired shut, and I had to give him a milkshake, like a whatever those are called, a milkshake, protein shake. Thank you. He could only drink through a straw, and it turns out that he went to the wrong place with that Headstrong song in his head and talked shit and got hit. Hit so bad that they wired his jaw shut in the jail, and I had to give him protein shakes. So it just made me think of that when y'all talk about that. There's a random tangent, but yeah, Anyway,
Well, now,
White
whenever I hear that
trash
song on the
love that
radio,
song.
whenever I hear that song on the radio, Cal, I'm gonna think of you feeding someone a Soylent Shake in prison because they got their jaw
I think
knocked
of
out.
it too every time I hear it in my
Soylent Green
car.
is people.
This guy, man, I'm telling you, he was a hard ass when we was in the van and we were going there. And when I were giving
Everyone's a
him
hard ass, so
that-
they have their jaw wired
Yeah.
shut.
exactly, he didn't look at us like that was more of us trustees and stuff that was giving out the food. He wouldn't even look at us, man. That's how bad it was. He was so he got a reality check. Is what I'm trying. He got a real reality check. But anyway, I hope he's doing good.
I hope he's doing good
Everyone's
too.
got a plan until they get something
I hope
else.
he's doing good too. What was he in for, Cal? I'm not gonna
I
ask
have
you.
no
I'm not gonna
idea.
ask
I
you. Do you
never
know what he was in for?
Because we were in the van and he didn't want to
Yeah.
talk. All he was head banging, act like a hard ass. And then when we got to jail, and by the time I got to see him, I couldn't talk to him because his fucking jaw was wired shut.
Fair enough. I probably should have put that together before I asked that question. All right,
Yeah.
Cal, I'm gonna ask this question. This is my last jail question because I don't want to get into places that are too sensitive before talking to you beforehand. But in jail, is it a faux pas to ask other people what they're in for, or is that just like the first thing you say?
Oh God, no.
No.
I'm ignorant. I don't know if
No.
everything I see on TV is right. Like,
There
what is
are-
the
there
more
are people
there?
who will come right up to you and ask you for your papers.
Yeah.
Straight up ask you for, because they're looking for people who they don't deem like
right.
pedophiles
I get
and
it.
other
No, I
things,
get that.
yeah.
I get that. I get that. I get that.
Pedophiles,
Okay. No, I get it. All right. All right.
abusers of women.
Right.
You know, you don't want to live with those people. You
Right.
don't want those people in your
space.
or
Right.
jail
I get
or-
it. I get it. Makes sense. Okay.
They gotta go. So,
We're gonna
yeah, they
Cal. We're gonna
will-
tease this. We're gonna do the jailhouse interview out of jail at one of these points here on Backstage, and we're gonna get a whole. You're gonna educate me on that whole life because I don't know
60
anything about it.
Well, Steve, I don't even know if this is something I really want to talk about. It's just an interesting story. But I mean, I will if you want to make a topic.
Oh,
out of it,
don't get me wrong. I'm not going to pry on anything you don't want to talk about, Cal. It sounded like something you were enthusiastic about, so I wanted to give you that platform. But if we'll talk about it on Discord. We'll put something together.
Remind me of a story, but I also want to say this is nothing that I'm emphatically proud of. It's nothing
Not-
that anybody.
Not saying that, Cal. Not saying that at all. I like talking about life experiences, and I think sharing those life experiences are good to inform other people, so that other people know what other people's life experiences are like, and I think that's how we connect with each other. That's all.
Well, and if I will do it solely, if you want to do it, I would do it solely as a deterrent for anybody who chooses to do.
Now I have a segment idea. Dare with Cal.
Jesus Christ.
Now we have a segment idea. That's what it is, Cal. See, that's how you do it, Cal. That's how we do the show business. We start with an idea, Cal. You say, Steve, that's a terrible idea. This is a sensitive topic. I'm a human being. And then we turn it into funny content, Cal. That's how this works.
Yep.
I'm glad you figured it out.
Not that funny.
Thank you,
Your
Frank.
trauma. Your
Thank you,
trauma
Frank.
equals paycheck.
Yes. Well, to be clear, no one gets paid around here. Let's just be very, very clear.
Not yet. We're
This is
working on it.
all very free labor.
All unpaid interns.
Yes, we are all unpaid interns.
Actually, Steve, the payment is us talking to each other and having a good time and
You're damn
The
right.
friends we've made along the way.
You're absolutely right.
Exactly.
Because that
Drop
is.
it
Friendship.
No.
that's what's paid.
That is the payment. That's what I'm here for. I mean, that's why I do it. That's why I'm here. I think that's why you guys hang around and sit with me here for 2.5 hours to do so. But anyways, we are going to wrap things up here momentarily. I want to thank you. I want to thank everyone for being here. I think we may get a cheeky little gaming stream in tomorrow since Ken's not doing a blathering, and I know we all have our Thursday habits that we expect to be sitting in
I
front
know.
of our
Ken having a
devices.
life. That's
I know, right? Well, no, I'm excited for him to be going to Superman. That's gonna be a cool story. I'm super excited for what he's got planned for Saturday.
I'm excited to see this Superman.
Well, not to like jazz it up or anything. I don't know if he's got anything actually especially planned for the show, but just the fact that we're going to talk about that and he's got some guests he wants to have on, so that'll be exciting. But yeah, I think we'll do a little Step Ken stream tomorrow. But I think tomorrow will probably just be some gaming because today was the day I planned and had like ideas and all that shit. I'm not gonna have time to do all that tomorrow.
Steve, you gotta explain to me about your game. I haven't tuned in.
That's
and
okay.
I haven't been around. I haven't been around for the gaming.
Yeah.
Things. How do the gaming streams work? I haven't
It's fun.
watched
No,
any.
the gaming streams are just an excuse for me to just play video games and not feel too much by myself. So we just, but we've had fun with them. We have callers come on and people just hang out. We hang out and talk. It's kind of like a fireside chat while I'm just playing games in the background. It's not structured. I don't have like segments or like, you know, specific things. People call in and ask questions, but the game itself is kind of community, not driven, but community involved in that you can name characters and kind of talk about decisions we make and, you know, the you know, all that kind of jazz. There's some Star Wars flavor in there too. So it's just a second screen entertainment, Cal, is what I like to call it.
Well, here's my ultimate question then. For
42.
For the video game streaming things, when you're like, okay, I'm specifically doing the RimWorld or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Can we still call in and bullshit and talk about what
that's the whole, yeah, absolutely. You can 100%.
I don't know. I haven't watched them. I was just wanting to make
exactly. I'm glad you asked. No, that is exactly why I like doing Backstage. This is the show where you can call in and bullshit and have that forum if you want that. We'll do some more structured stuff eventually too, and I'm going to try to get some more scheduled stuff into the Backstage, so it's not just like day of, oh hey, we're doing a stream tonight. I'm going to try to get things scheduled out a little bit more so we can do them more often or just more structured. But yeah, no, the thing about Backstage is I'm always going to want to have calls, have people come in, say whatever you want while we're just doing stuff, especially with gaming. It's just shoot the shit while I'm playing games or whatever. And I'm talking to my boys that I play like games and stuff with too. And we might do like a Rocket League stream or whatever when we do one of these tournaments that me and my boys usually do a Rocket League tournament almost like every night at like 10 p.m. Or midnight, depending on who's around and stuff. So we might do some of that. We play a bunch of other games that are kind of like Steam popular, like all the kind of trendy PC games. So we have a fun Discord to hang out in. It's just a cool, like I said, a cool clubhouse to just kind of hang out in and shoot the shit with the guys. So
Steve, I hate to interrupt again, but speaking of games, Tully asked you about his requirement. I can't remember what game it was.
I'm looking.
If the requirements was good enough for his laptop, and he has like a terabyte.
Yeah, they were not good. Let's put it that way.
Tell me he can't run that game.
No.
Rival.
No,
it's
Battlefront. Yeah, he could not. No, I mean it was $4, so I advised him it was worth like trying, but I don't imagine it's going to run very well.
I can run.
Don't ask Steve for computer help, because anything you ask him, he will judge you about.
What?
I sent him. We've been me, Steve, and Brady have been going back and forth in Discord about me building a PC, and I'm like, what about this? Well, you could do better. Okay, I like this. Yeah, but you could do better.
It's more of a. My whole thing is I want to get you the best thing I can for the amount of money that you're going to spend. You know what I mean? I don't want you to spend $800 on something that's like, okay, but for $850 you can have something that's like significantly better. It's like, well, now we're just wasting $800 on it if that's the case. And also, it's like you gave me. It's like going into a car dealership and it's like, hey, so I need the leather seats, I need the turbo, I need the drop top and everything. Oh, my budget's $16K. Okay, yeah, good fucking luck. Like,
no. The only cool. I said I wanted a computer that could play Left 4 Dead 2, Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yep.
And Arkham City.
Yep.
The only cool thing that I picked out was the case. And don't get me wrong, I'll post it in Discord. It was ridiculous case.
Yeah, it's like a $400 case. It's insane. Yeah.
It's really cool shaped like a pyramid.
It is a really cool case, but the case costs twice as much as your graphics card, and I just can't recommend that as someone who knows anything about computers. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to be a good friend.
The only thing, Steve, that I want to say is that I can run Battlefield.
Cal, stop lying. This is not the only thing that you've wanted to say. But continue. Sorry.
All I want to say, no, it's not the only thing I want to say, but I'm
learning.
Just telling you that
he cuts out at the perfect time. Start over, Cal. Start over, Cal. Start over.
Run Battlefront 2.
Okay.
I think he's overqualified for Battlefront 2.
He is not Cal.
What are the specs?
I love you. I am a computer person. He is not overqualified for Battlefront 2. I can promise.
All right.
Laptops especially struggle with that kind of stuff between the stuff that's in there, and then also as soon as you start running a game for like 30 minutes, they just catch on fire. So unless you have like one of those little fan things underneath your computer, it's gonna choke. But no, we're going. You're not being computer shamed, Tully. I don't know why I think it was Jared just decided to just he's trying to shame me using you as an excuse. So yeah, you're good, Tully.
Nobody's trying to shame you.
No, it's okay. It's fine. That's what I'm here for. It's the vehicle is I'm the one that gets the shame and the shit on it so that we can make fun and laugh and all that kind of stuff. That's fine. That's what I'm here for. No, but totally reach out to me again on Discord. I'm happy to help you with more stuff on that. Battlefront is on sale right now. The Steam sale is coming up soon. So
They're like $4.
don't buy anything. Don't buy any games right now unless they're on sale, because every PC game is going to be on sale like in the next week and a half or something like that with the Steam sale. So that's my insider tip for you.
Jared, I'm a little disappointed. I was really hoping that case was going to look like Pyramidas from Power Rangers.
I mean,
That was the first thing that popped in my head.
Jared, you can get a Borg cube case. Did you know that?
Oh,
yeah,
sure,
but
man.
they're on there, but they sit on like a point, so the graphics card's at a weird angle.
Oh, you've looked
whatnot.
into this, I guess, already.
Yeah,
I shouldn't be surprised.
When I wanted to start looking into how to build a PC, it was 3 weeks of just looking at cases, because that's all I knew about.
See, that's so funny.
That's what I was like. I like cases. I like things to look weird.
The case was the last thing I bought. I operated the first computer I built in high school. I operated out of a cardboard box for 2.5 weeks because
Wait, what?
I didn't want to spend $100 on a case.
Yeah, it's a fire hazard.
Yeah, not really. I
Sure.
mean, like, it was fine. I never walked away from it. Like when it was, I don't usually. But yeah, no, I made it out of a cardboard box, and like I didn't have a power button because I didn't have a case. So you just take a flathead screwdriver, put it right in between the two little power pins, and boop, it comes right on. Yeah. And then you just hit the power switch on the power supply to turn it off.
You're hearing this too, Brady, right? I'm not going insane.
Sometimes it just has to work.
Yeah, Cameron's right. I was able to build that in my room with a cardboard box, scraps.
I love it, but
yeah.
like the screwdriver details too much.
Yeah. Hey man, I had
with paint top on.
to play Cataclysm and Wrath of Lich King somehow.
It's not good.
Steve, have you seen the old school cases? I like looking at the old school cases because it reminds me of the 90s. I like seeing where they.
Oh, the ones that have like smoke stains on them. Because yeah.
Power.
Smoke stains.
I like
Oh
that.
yeah, Brady. So we used to be able to smoke indoors everywhere. I know you know that. I'm just kidding.
God, yeah.
But anyways, we used to smoke indoors everywhere all the time, and that included the office. And so back in the 80s and 90s, most of your commercial PCs, I know I'm not saying anything you don't already know, but like most of the commercial PCs were like these white compacts or white gateways or white. They were just white, off-white.
The kind of yellow, right?
Well, they weren't yellow, Brady. They were yellow because we all smoked 24/7 in the presence of the computers, and they turned yellow.
Yeah, they were gray and white.
They were very white when they came out of the box, but they turned yellow over time. Yeah, and so there are some really cool sleeper builds. If you go on Reddit, you can see Cal people who put like modern hardware into old. Especially like the old compact cases, like the bubbly looking ones from the early 2000s.
Oh no, what I love is where technology peaked, let's be real, was when everything was in a translucent clear case. So I love the people who take the old iMac in different colors and build the PC in there.
Yes, that's a good look. Especially some folks will do that, and they'll even take the screen off the old iMacs and put a new like LED screen on like on the front of it, like the colorful like bubble Macs. Yeah, no, there's some the Mac Pros that have like the big giant steel tower case. That was like a favorite of PC enthusiasts for building stuff, just because it was so big and like well ventilated. And if you put like PC components in there, not Apple components, there was all this extra space and shit. So it was
the old Hackintosh
cool stuff. Oh yeah, I love a good Hackintosh.
Now, I'll straight up remember that, Jared. I remember those Apple iMacs with the colors.
Oh yeah,
it looked futuristic. It looked so cool. It was so like early.
Every teenage white girl on the Disney Channel had one of those colored clamshell MacBooks. Every single one.
Those were cool.
Did they look futuristic back then?
Oh yeah, that was the point. That was the point. Yeah, because computers until that were so bland and gray and square. When Apple released that colorful thing, it was revolutionary. Yeah, it was a whole thing.
Like what was it? Gateway started to try do it. Like it wasn't. They had some curves and stuff, but Apple was
curves, and they put cow print on their boxes when they got delivered.
But
to your
that
house.
that was different than the Dell than the HPs.
Yeah.
And there was no, unless you were
what the Dell guys up to nowadays. Do you guys remember?
Yeah, there were no unless you were a hardcore. And back then, unless you were a hardcore super nerd, like there was no customizing a PC. Everything was rebuilds back then, which is honestly what I might end up doing because,
So the market changes with like how expensive stuff is right now. The graphics card market's a nightmare. It's not as bad as like peak crypto, but it's not fun. So pre-builds are all just about like convenience and cost. You just have to know when you buy a pre-build, 100-ish to 200-ish of what you're spending is literally for someone to put it together for you and send it to you. As long as you're okay with spending that premium, then at the end of the day, you're doing okay. But I always can. If you can do Legos, you can build a computer. Period. I'm serious. Like if you can follow a book of Legos and know when to put the orange square on the blue square and how many dots this one has, okay, it's this. Putting a computer together is the exact same thing. You're just like the square peg is not going to go into a round hole. It just isn't. So you just plug everything into something it fits and it works.
Yeah,
you're telling me, Steve. You're telling me with 2 years that I wasted in engineering, I should be able to make my own gaming PC.
100%. Yeah.
100%.
With a 15-minute YouTube video, no problem.
If you
You
can,
can learn more in 15 minutes on YouTube than you can 4 years in college.
That is dependent on what you're learning, Jared. I will push back slightly on that one, but yeah, you're not totally wrong.
If I have the
Some
basic
majors.
kind of basic knowledge of how to engineer something, I should be able to
No, you don't need any engineering knowledge. You don't even know how Windows works to put a computer together. You're just like I said, square peg, square hole. Like you can't plug the thing that powers the motherboard only goes into one thing, and it's very obvious what it goes into when you're holding that big ass cord. So, Jared.
Actually, because the last time I did anything, because I used to be really good with PCs 25 years ago. Like the last thing I did was set up a network on a T1 line for school.
Jesus.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, how the fuck? Because CD drives are gone now.
Yeah.
So I build this computer. I say, how the fuck do I put Windows on it?
That's a great question.
You get it through the internet.
They want you to download
How do you get the internet without
No.
Windows?
This is a great question. So a lot of times, if you don't have internet yet, or if you don't have any drivers, you get anything. So if you're doing a full fresh build, you actually put Windows on a USB drive. So before you build your computer, what you do is you don't have to buy a copy of Windows yet. You can download Windows 11 from Microsoft directly on the website, and you can download it to a USB drive, and it's an unlicensed version, so it's literally just the operating system. You put that on a USB drive, so that's the only thing on your USB drive, right? You plug that USB drive into your motherboard into your USB slot, like when you're booting up the computer for the first time, and then you boot off of that USB drive, and that's how you install Windows.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jared, to your point, I bought a PC.
Oh, we're losing.
Cal's timing today is just incredible.
I needed to be asleep about 30 minutes ago.
Detective, we appreciate you being here. We're going to wind things up here very soon. We went from F1 to computers and all sorts. I don't know why you guys are getting me down rabbit holes, but McCarson, thank you for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Thanks for your insight today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, night gang.
Have a good one.
Peace.
We are going to get out of here soon. I have a little bit of housekeeping things here quickly. Does anyone have anything? Do you fellas, Cal, Jared, or Brady have anything you needed to get off your chest before?
I didn't see that Michael was leaving. I'm sorry, but I use earphones and
That's
go
okay.
out.
It's all good, man.
But Jared, to your point, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I recently got not too long ago. I got a newer laptop, and it doesn't have a CD-ROM on it. It doesn't have a disk drive on it. The one I got 5 years, I think, before that does have a CD-ROM on it. They're phasing that out to do things like Steve's talking about with the USB and stuff like that. Anyway, that's all.
Yeah, no, trust me. The first time that happened to me was when I bought my first Mac in 2012. I did all sorts of research on the iMac that I wanted to get and all the upgrades I was going to have Apple do to it. Then on the week I went to go get it, they released the brand new iMac that was the first thin one that they did. And the dude was like, yeah, you can get even better upgrades. So I was like, fuck it. It all made it so not an off the rack as our suit metaphor from earlier, but very tailored. And then 2 weeks into its build, as it's starting to ship, I'm looking at it more and more detailed, and I'm seeing pictures of it, and I'm just like, where's the CD drive? Because the old version had the CD drive. Right. Then all of a sudden I'm like, this one doesn't have a fucking CD drive. And they're like, oh no, they don't do it anymore. But they were selling the Apple Super Drive, this $80 Apple
I was
drive.
say at least $100. $80 is cheap.
It was $80. But here's the thing: that drive without the Apple sticker on it was $20.
$20 at Walmart. Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, 100%. I lived in the same boat. Yeah, I hear you there.
Well,
Yeah,
Jared, I'll tell you what I did when I got my new laptop. Luckily, I already had an external DVD drive, which doubles as a CD, RW, what have you.
fancy.
So it's very cheap to get one of them. But anyway,
I know. It's okay.
you just plug it into your USB. But yeah, but I was surprised that they phased out the CD-ROM and stuff. Well, they phased out the floppy disk. I mean, come on, or the hard drive.
Brady is shaking his head. So I can't see Brady, but Brady is shaking his head like you guys are so fucking old.
Hey,
Brady.
Listen, my 3.5 floppy disk with Oregon Trail on it was a prized possession.
Yeah, so was Doom.
Yeah,
my Doom floppies were.
My Doom and my Quake.
I think that was. I
Quake.
Floppies before.
Yeah.
Quake.
When I was.
Yeah.
When you took a vintage computer class.
Yeah.
No, I actually had a vintage computer, but like I used it for like a month, and then we got a new one.
You know what? No computer hill I will die on
floppy too.
The computer hill I die on. Windows 95 was the best operating system.
Windows 95 was a good system.
95 and 95 and 98.
Yeah,
fuck,
98.
Fuck ME. Fuck XP.
ME was terrible.
11.
I liked
XP.
XP.
Was good. ME was bad. XP was cool. XP was fine. Vista
ME was terrible.
7 was a
My
goat.
fucking dad loved ME.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go 7. I think of my lifetime, of my computer building lifetime, 7 was the best operating system I used.
Oh,
7 Pro.
Secret?
Go ahead, Brady.
What?
Windows 7 was just Windows Vista rebranded.
Oh yeah, we know. Believe me, we know because we all hated.
I didn't know that.
We all hated Vista, but then like when you took off all the bullshit off of, like you could essentially run Vista fairly cleanly if you just took off all like the glass effects and all that like kind of stuff. You just put like the Windows XP like appearance on top of it. It wasn't nearly as bad. And then Windows 7 was just like them kind of basically owning up to that. And I think Windows 7 was also the first one where we started getting like more over the air updates compared to having to like wholesale giant package updates or always have to get a CD-ROM for the patches and stuff. Because 7 lasted a while.
XP they had online updates, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, because XP lasted even like longer as far as like before it was
XP
totally
they had to get out. They had to get out quick because Millennium was just a humongous flop.
Right.
Yes,
right. Well, that was Vista and 8 too. Vista and 8 was a whole.
I vaguely remember Vista.
Yeah, 8. I just remember 8 was all the tiles, the really ugly tiles. And then they had the phone that was like that. Oh my god, it was terrible. Anyway, all right, boys, we're gonna get out of here soon. I'm at that point now where my lights are starting to bake me and I'm sweating uncontrollably, so I don't want to pass out on live air. I appreciate you everybody being here. I appreciate you all hanging out.
But we've gotten you to 3 hours. All we got to do is get one more.
Did you?
Oh, has it been 3?
No, my timer says 2:54, so you guys can piss off.
That's close enough.
It is close enough. But thank you all for hanging out. I appreciate it. Brady, thank you so much for your draft fashion insights. Thank you for having fun. Yeah, we didn't do the wheel tonight. We attritioned from the wheel.
No. We said fuck the wheel tomorrow. For F1.
Jared, that was Jared's call. Jared was the producer tonight and said no wheel. So I'm gonna have to jazz up the wheel more.
Wait a minute.
We were having too much fun watching Steve have his special interest moment.
I did. I really nerded out about F1 for 10 minutes there, didn't I? I'm sorry. I'm gonna go back and look at the viewers on that and be like, wow, yep, that's when I talked about F1. Yeah,
it was fantastic. Steve, I wanted to ask you about this post we all got from Ken about these questions and all that. Can you elaborate?
Oh, sure. Yeah, let me.
Oh, I saw that email too.
That's a good bit of housekeeping on the way out here. Thank you, Cal. Yeah. So, yeah, it's exactly as Ken stated. He wants to either on the post, on Patreon, on Discord. If you want to send, if you don't have a way to reach Ken, you want to send them to me. I'll get them to Ken. Questions, just questions. If you go on the YouTube post, there were some comments on the post already of people just like chiming in. That's kind of exactly down the alley of what he's looking for. And the idea is just getting some prompts to be able to make like some more short form content and shorts and TikToks and stuff like that, I think is the idea, and clips. because we really want to, like, we're trying to. I mean, I can't speak for Ken, but like from a growth standpoint, that's how you. It's another way of doing outreach and just having more content instead of just doing the live streams and stuff. So by having those questions and making some of those kind of canned videos, we can just pump out more Ken stuff. So that's the idea.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about that, Steve, is that I like Addie does. I was doing it a while back as well, but I keep questions to ask you, Ken. And a lot of those questions are questions that I want to ask in person and over through the radio.
Right.
So I don't want to just throw them away so he can answer them without being able to bounce off of me. Does that make any sense?
That makes total sense. And I think that's where you can, that's where we can kind of share a little bit, because the regular show is not going to change. You're still going to have the opportunities to call into the regular show and ask questions and do all that kind of stuff. So it's just a different flavor. You know what I mean? And it's not so much like, you don't have to take it so much as like a question you would ask on the Blathering, but just so much of like, this is your chance to just kind of like contribute in any way you want, like anything silly or serious or anything. Like, it doesn't even, if you don't even put your name on it, you don't have to. If we can find a way to do that,
you know,
you can make a burner account. I don't know.
Cupcake does he want?
Right, like it's just we're throwing spaghetti on the wall at this point. That's kind of the idea right now. Is we're in the lab. We're throwing spaghetti on the wall to see what sticks. Jared, have you never heard that? Have you not heard that?
Or
thing?
sauced?
No, it's so when you throw spaghetti on the wall, it's cooked but not quite done. You're checking to see if it's done. Now, as an Italian American, my mother told me that was all bullshit anyway. But the whole idea is you throw spaghetti at the wall. If it sticks, it's done. If it like tumbles down like a slinky, then
see, I'm
it's
very
not done.
familiar with the throw something at the wall to see if it sticks.
Right.
It was never described as spaghetti.
Well, that's where it comes from, spaghetti. Because the idea is if you throw your spaghetti at the wall and it sticks, it's done.
Yeah,
but you know how else you can tell if your spaghetti's done? Putting it in boiling water for 10 minutes and it's done. Because that's how long it takes to make spaghetti.
See, I like it. I like it. Yeah, 8 minutes, a little al dente.
Well, whatever. That's the idea, though. Is it's not rocket science.
Well, hang on.
Like,
actually, would your Italian grandmother kill us for al dente noodles?
No, my mother makes it. I like mine al dente too. The only thing my mother, my grandmother, great grandmother would kill you for is completely pre-made sauce. You need to do something to the sauce. You have to add some kind of flavor, some kind of
love.
What
about snapping the noodles in half?
That's not as sacrilegious as people think it is. I don't do it, but that's like an internet.
I would never.
Sometimes you have to do it. Honestly, if you're using a smaller pot, like that's what you have to do sometimes. Plus, by the way, if you're cooking Barilla pasta, it's not gonna be any fucking different if you snap it in half or if you cook it whole, because it's Barilla enriched spaghetti product. We're not like talking about like, you know, homemade spaghetti that you spun out and did all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff you don't want to split. Anyway.
I will say,
Steve,
Brady has noodle thoughts.
It's been mathematically proven that if you snap the noodles, there's always going to be a middle piece that you lose. So that's the one thing that.
Yeah, you can't snap them clean.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna lose 0.01% of the noodle. Is that what we're concerned about?
No, it's like 0.5. It's like 0.5.
You're gonna have those annoying little pieces of noodle that you can't grab with your fork.
See, my dogs love whenever I put the dry pasta into, because they're always looking for that stray that falls off, and then there's nothing funnier than watching a black lab try to pick up a single strand of spaghetti off of a tile floor because he just can't get the fucking traction. He gets so goddamn frustrated. It's hilarious.
Yep.
Why are you giving your dog human food?
I don't give my dog human food. He's a vulture. It happens from it falls off of it's in the process. It lands on the floor and he grabs it
because he deserves to know what good food tastes like.
That's what I'm very much a proponent of. Give dogs dog food and not people food.
I mean, that's your dog. You do what you want to do, but I don't understand the aspect of giving the dog human food.
I don't either. I don't. And it keeps them away from your food, even though they do want that. Nothing keeps my dogs away from my food. They're black labs, and they're even well trained, and they don't.
I had a black
lab. They will beg for food.
They'll snatch that shit. You go to the bathroom.
Yep. Anyway.
Yeah, no, my baby boy Charlie, when he was alive, no. The eyes, the big boxer eyes, just judging me the whole damn time.
Why do you always starve me? You always starve me. All right, guys, I am going to wrap up. I appreciate all of you for hanging out and sticking around with us. This was a lot of fun tonight. We had a lot of fun. We talked NBA draft fashion. We talked F1. We talked all sorts of random. We talked Star Wars with Addy. I thought that was a great conversation. I really enjoyed that.
I
so
love
thank you again for
Addy's
that.
Star Wars takes.
I loved that. That was as a girl dad, that made me happy. So and Patty Boy put in a good comment in the chat. I'll give your review of the F1 movie next time. I will give that next time after I've seen it. We might do a stream tomorrow for Thursday night, like I said, since we're all muscle memory trained to be here on Thursday nights. So I might do a stream tomorrow, but if I do, it's gonna be super chill and just be like RimWorld or Battlefront or something, and you guys can just watch me play video games and call in and shoot the shit. So, alrighty. So thank you again.
Your Parkitect to sell it to me.
Maybe I will. That might be its own stream series. Is a Blathertown Parkitect Blather World type of stream, because the Parkitect is a lot of fun. It's Roller Coaster Tycoon in the modern era, but
that trailer you sent me was interesting.
It's fun, isn't it? Fun. It's fun. But yeah, definitely check that out if you guys are like Roller Coaster Tycoon. But don't buy any games right now. Don't buy PC games for the next week. Everything's gonna be on sale soon, so I'm looking out for you. I promise. With that being said, you guys are all awesome. Love you all. Thank you all for being here. Cal, Jared, Brady, Addy, Ethan, Detective McCarcel, all the people. Cal, we're leaving. It's time to go. I want to go. I'm hot.
Cal, the lights are on, Cal. The bartender's giving you the tab.
No,
there's no wheel tonight.
Cal, there's no wheel tonight. If I play games tomorrow, we'll spin the wheel tomorrow if you come hang out tomorrow. You want to spin the wheel tomorrow?
Whatever.
Spin the wheel tomorrow. All right. But see, now
you can blame me.
We don't want to end things on an all right kind of mood, Cal. But
it's been all right. Everything's good. No, I expected the wheel. My bad. I didn't know you had to get out of here.
No, I don't. It's that time. It's closing time.
I know it's good time.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
I know that phrase.
You guys are awesome. Thank you all for your time. Thanks for hanging out. Tune in tomorrow. Maybe we'll do a little pop-up stream for some gaming. If not, definitely check out the Blathering on Saturday with Ken, and go support all the things if you are somehow here and not doing that already. Like the video if you haven't. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thank you all so much. You're the best. Take care. Have a great rest of your evening. Great rest of your day. And be good to each other. Jared's got something else to say. One shameless plug. Please plug. Please plug.
Yeah. Shameless plug. Help my band get over 400 on the Instagram. Conceptofaplan.ma on the Instagram. We're close. I post funny things. It's me posting, so if you make comments, I will see them.
It's good. But, yeah, they're fun presence online. Jared's posting good stuff. Follow that if you're in the area. Check out their stuff so you can go see a show. We're gonna have to get some kind of a Blathering correspondent to one of those shows one day. So.
I mean, we've been toying with the idea of live streaming one of them coming up.
Well, if you do, let us know. We will plug the shit out of that. So absolutely. Thank you guys.
I want to tell Jared real quick. Thanks for the stream recommendation. I will check them out.
Yeah, definitely, Cal.
Nice.
Yeah,
awesome. Good stuff. Thank you guys.
Everybody
Take care.
stay safe. Love you all.
Have a good one. Be good to each other. Thank you.